what's going on. Maybe they just sheeple, and that's what they know about him, and that's what they
right.
Take in
So if that's the case, which we know 95%, we know you're gonna keep hearing me from this point forward. I've been saying it for the past couple of weeks. I'm not talking about the 95%. It is what it is. Like Bobby Hemmings said, let the dead bury the dead. They're not where they either want to be or need to be. Who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I to try to shake somebody out of their comfort zone? That would be like somebody trying to make me be a Christian. They're not ready. No. So me personally, I don't focus on that. It is what it is. When their consciousness is ready to receive that information and process it and make their own judgment, they will do so. Everybody is not going to rise to the same level of consciousness at the same time. So me personally, I have no judgment on the 95%. None whatsoever. I get it. I understand it. It is what it is. I'm going to keep pounding on the fucking 5%. Because 4% of the 5% been into this shit for some years now. So what are the 4% going to do? The 4% should know better. The 4% should know that it all comes from within. And to stop following fads, because that's what I see out of the 4%. I'm going to be real honest. I see fads. Whatever hit the internet in the quote-quote truther community, that shit fucking spreads among the 4%. Literally. I don't see a lot of thinking among the 4% on their own. I see a lot of following someone else's doctrine. And especially the ones that claim that they're spiritual, and especially the ones that claim that they don't like the white man ain't shit, this, that, and the other, but be the main motherfuckers spreading Q, Elemento P, them, deep state, this, that, and the third. But then you want to turn around and judge the 95%. No, boo. You just took on another fucking form of religion. And your other form of religion is the truther community. So I'm not interested in neither party. That's just me. I'm not fucking interested in it. I'm interested on what are you doing for self? What world do you want to create? What are you doing personally to create that world? What messages did you get from the other realm? That's where I'm at this point. Now, you know, everybody else can do what they want, but I'm just putting out a pre-warning. I'm going to be banging on that 4%. Because I see a lot of hypocrisy among the 4%. So, all right, sis. Sorry, I step off my soapbox. I step off of it.
Okay, it's okay because, you know, I live in this little small community. Well, it's not too small, it's a city. But, I mean, to tell you, they done taken over the internet with this stuff. They done taken over the TV with this stuff. And then they got planes buzzing. You know, the crop duster-looking planes buzzing in the city today. One came so low, it dropped just the stuff it's carrying in exhaust in my backyard almost. And I'm like, what's wrong with these people? You know, and then they're going to thank everybody for their working and, you know, caregivers and first responders and just say thank you. My God, you're going to scare somebody out of their life because you want to do some stupid stuff. But, you know, to each its own, I suppose. But don't come my way. They just can't let it go. They sing songs about it. We're here together. We're all in this as one, and we're not alone. I'm like, oh, my God.
Indeed, sis. I do want to say to Callie, Callie is off the chain. I know you already know that, sis. I know you know it, that you live there.
What chain you talking about? There's so many of them.
Well, you know what you say, there's so many of them. Well, when we get into the next series, we're going to be talking about old technology, new technology, how it's really all the same, and the resets and spirituality and tying all that together. But interestingly enough, I saw where a video by John Levy a couple years ago where he was showing old pictures of San Fran. And how San Fran had this big old fire. And why, sis, he was going through them pictures, because the fire was in 18-something. I forget when it was. So the exact date is what I'm trying to say. So anyhow, why the fire, sis, looked just exactly like, sis, the fire that, quote, quote, just happened in California over the last couple of years. So in other words, stuff was disintegrated on down to the ashes, but right next to it was bushes and trees. I said, get the F out of here. So basically, the same technology that they're using today, what they did on California, they did before, okay? All tied to resets, okay? So I'm saying all of that to say these are cycles. Number one, we know there is a universal cycle, but folks that have controlled the realm, that 1% that have controlled the realm, does their particular reset using high ancient technology to reset the people as well, okay? Because, again, everything is about consciousness and energy. And that's what 99% of the folks are missing. Because if I can get you to focus on what the fuck I want you to get, what I want you to get to focus on, I got you. Because there's always two sides to the coin. And that 1% controller that wants to control the vibration plays both sides of those coins. So you, as a high vibrational soul, okay, I see we just got knocked off again.
Too much.
Yeah, there it goes again. That wants to control the realm. They play both sides of that coin, and when they play both sides of that coin, you as a high vibrating being that operates on a higher level, you're supposed to be able to pick up what's going on. Because what's supposed to be happening is you're supposed to be looking at both sides of them coins and see, oh, okay, I see exactly what they're doing.
You know, every nation, supposedly, is given a spirit over it. And these people who allow this to happen is actually people. They let their demagogues, who is over their nations, who rules their religions, to have their way. And if their demagogues decide to burn it down, they let them burn it down. They pray, oh, do what you want to do. You know, and I'm talking like demagogues like the Vedas, demagogues like Jesus, demagogues, those kind of things. And they pray to these entities, and they go out of themselves and pray to these entities to take control of everything. So that's what you get in return, because that's what they do. I was listening to King Drop talk about all these, different demagogues of certain religions that allows them to just, do their thing. And they worship them and give them libations and honor for doing these things on this planet. And I guess what we're going to have to do is get our little selves together and start thinking to get rid of all this stuff, as long as you can know who the culprits are. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I guess from my standpoint, and I totally agree with you, sis. I totally agree with you. But my whole thing of the matter is, number one, you don't have to wait on a we.
No, it's 100%.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
It starts with each individual. And then the second part of that is, it does not matter who they're, quote, quote, going through, praying to, whatever. You're supposed to be creating your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're running somebody else's script, you get what you get.
Exactly, and they are the interlopers here. So we're the indigenous folks, the autonomous folks on this planet. And so we need to start acting like this is ours. And you can't bring your demagogues here to work and destroy and do things like they've been doing. We just got to take control of it again.
Yeah, that I totally agree on, and that starts with
self
and stop playing into other folks' script.
Yeah.
So and everybody get to that point when they get to that point, but that's just for me. I'm just not interested in all of that Q Elemento P them. I'm not interested in it. The shit it's the same shit regurgitated over and over and over and over and over again. Did you see this video about that? Is it the same fucking topic? Okay, so they adding something new to it this week. So I'm fucking interested in this because of what? It's just not useful to me. It's just not. I personally need to be putting my energy on and creating and bringing forth what I want. Now, that's just me. It's only so much I could take into that bullshit, and I could take very little. The more the vibration around spins up, the shorter my patience is for that shit. I mean, literally, the shorter my patience is for it. But I hear you, sis. All right, so YouTube, they done kicked us off fucking YouTube. So, all right. Brother Sean, you have any, go ahead on with the fuckery.
Yeah. You see what they doing to the Detroit representative? They about to censure her, the Democratic Party, because she thanked Trump for saving her life. She said she had COVID. She took the hydrochloroquine, and it cured her. And all she said was, thank you. And they went off on her, on Twitter and everything. Governor sent her nasty texts, everything, because she said, thank you. because her life was saved from something he suggested. They want to push the vaccine that hard. They don't give a fuck who died. They don't want to talk about that that's actually saving people. And that's the system that our people in love with.
Yep.
You see what they doing to each other. They eating each other alive.
I agree.
They ain't giving a fuck about you at all, period, other than your energy, which you give to them through fear, emotion, ignorance. And you want this system to be around, governed by the consent of. And actually, that's what religion prepares you for. Because usually before you know anything about the government, you're taught all that obedience and everything in church or the temple or wherever. You're taught to submit to a higher power. You're taught to follow these rules or there's consequences for it.
Right.
They talk about love in there. But where? They talk about unity and oneness. But where is it? I mean, they want everything to be all inclusive. Still talking to Sarah and just Sarah.
Oh, God, I'm so sick of it.
I mean, it's way more mainstream than it was back in the day. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now.
That's a good point, Brother Sean.
But see, that's the part where they get the so-called awakened ones or the sovereign citizen community.
Yep.
Because they were the only ones paying attention to that. They know everybody else don't know what the fuck that means. Still don't.
Yep.
So that's their way of pulling in those who have followers.
Yep, I agree.
The hell with explaining shit to all these dumb motherfuckers. They got people that they follow. We go tell them what to do. Get them these paperwork and forms to fill out. You know, everybody come up to your little thing, sign up under you.
Yep.
And you get this thing body rocket. They don't care how many outlets they have, how many franchises they have. And that's what these motherfuckers doing when you talk about the 4%. They jockeying for franchises. They want their own shit.
Very good point. Very good point, Brother Sean. Very good point.
There's power moves being made. This quantum chess, you got to see what's going on all the boards. You got to see all the moves that's being made. You got to see 3-4 moves ahead.
That is a very, very good point.
Stuff being broke down the way it is because you have more and more people awakening and in different stages of awakening. I mean, if you just take for instance some of these celebrities, the ones that's being mentioned and everything. If you look at some of their Twitter pages and this, that, and other, they getting raked over the coals by a lot of their fans. a lot of people that figured this shit out and started to wake up and actually going after them, threatening them, and all type of shit like that. I mean, on so many levels, this may appear to be the same old, but this is the actual changing of the guard. I mean, whether or not we let it slip into another version of the same old.
I would agree.
That's on us.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
If we go back into a new contract, ain't no need of nobody complaining about what the fuck you get.
Can you just say that again, Brother Sean? I know you says it, and me being country says it. You says it every week. You say it every week, but if you don't mind repeating that again, sir.
If you sign on to a new contract, ain't no need to complain. What you get is what you get. That's what you signed on for. If you didn't read the whole contract, and after this 1,000 years of peace is up, and you start getting whooped on your head again, don't complain. You said all you wanted was 1,000 years of peace. You know, you wanted a few shekels in your pocket. You know, you get your little stimulus money, and you're happy, and you're running around happy for 2 days. In some cases, an hour. Depending upon what you owe. Some people, yours don't even get to hit. It don't even be still $1,200 because you got overdraft bank fees, and the bank getting theirs right off the top. So I mean, they say they're trying to help you out, but they know every penny you get, you're giving back to the corporation. So actually, they just helping the corporation back out and making you think that you've been helped out, but you broke again. And a lot of y'all still ain't got jobs.
And you owe them.
Yeah. So it's not like that was money that was just given to you freely. They want that back.
Mm-hmm.
And advance means that
you got to pay it back.
Right. I'm still gonna get something out your ass for this.
Right.
But that's what happens when you have to depend on somebody else.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Gods, goddesses. You know these titles we throw about all day, every day, on social media, on memes, everything.
Yep.
Where you at? You in the house, ain't you? You on lockdown, ain't you? You don't go nowhere, do you? You scared of everybody, ain't you? Your baby sneezing. You put your baby in the other room, don't you? I mean, there's people actually that goddamn scared.
Yeah, you can't even go in the grocery store without having a mask on. Oh, God.
Fear. Good. They're eating that fear.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You think if somebody fucking with you because you, quote unquote, concerned about your health, had you been taking care of yourself, you wouldn't be worried about this anyway.
No.
If you had a healthy immune system by eating the right things, by thinking the right way, by being the right way, you wouldn't have to worry about this low frequency shit. You're supposed to be vibrating higher. And this is something that keeps you vibrating low because you exist in fear. They say it attacks your respiratory system, it attacks your breathing. the very breath of life. But if you vibrating that low, it'll take you up out of here because you have pre-existing conditions.
Yeah. And a lot of people do.
A lot.
Yeah. And they've been set up for that, and all those vaccines they've been taking year after year after year after year. They set you up for this. They've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
They just wanted to make sure they got enough people vaccinated with the precursor to it in order to give it to people.
Right.
But if you wasn't taking those vaccines on the regular and was taking care of yourself, even if you got it, you may not have no symptoms. You may not go through nothing. It may just affect you like a regular cold.
Right. That's true.
You get over it.
Right. Right.
But that's self-accountability, though. Because, I mean, if we sitting up waiting for them to give us hydrochloroquine or whatever vaccine, the fact that you're sitting up waiting on them to give you anything.
Proactive.
When as far as for anything natural they're talking about, Mama had already gave it to your black ass. You already had it. It's shit our ancestors have been doing to prevent certain stuff. They not telling you something that they came up with. They telling you about stuff that they learned from our people. They came up with nothing new.
Yeah.
We just don't remember shit. And we depending on them to remind us of shit that you know that they ain't never going to tell you the truth about.
And it's not their responsibility to.
No. But that's why I trip on the whole Sarah thing. And, you know, people talking about this full disclosure and this, that, and the other. Don't you think a full disclosure would be acknowledging who the fuck
the
you
indigenous
really are?
people? Exactly. Agreed.
If we created everything and they were created by us or certain factions of us, wouldn't they be acknowledging that faction as their creator if they come into full disclosure?
Would.
Yeah.
That means they haven't even submitted to full disclosure. Period. In no way, shape, or form. If they're not going to acknowledge they creator, if they've taken on a God instead of the other, and ain't acknowledging the Moors the way that they're supposed to. I mean, the Moors say that they're being properly acknowledged because, you know, they doing exactly what they told them to do while they go to sleep. But they seem to have a hard time waking the fuck up.
Very hard
ain't
time.
gave shit back. They gave shit back. I mean, people keep saying it's in the process of happening, that they doing it in incremental stages and this, that, and the other. To me, that just sounds like more waiting.
Exactly. And you still getting locked up in the motherfucking process.
Right. And I mean, they write all this shit, and the UN Declaration, the Declaration of Indigenous Rights, the American one, all these declarations of our rights, but no adherence on their part.
Exactly.
All that shit is supposed to be instructing their people on what the fuck they supposed to do and not supposed to do. We supposed to just be walking the fuck around, not giving a fuck about none of that shit because it don't involve us.
Right, don't apply to us, right.
Right. We ain't supposed to be impeded upon shit that we doing.
Yep.
Period. And all the motherfucker have to do is look at us and really know who the fuck we are. That's just
right.
like if you took your ass over there to China, you ain't just going to walk your ass every place them people go.
Show ain't.
Because you don't fucking belong there.
Yep. China don't play.
You going to get them respect and every motherfucker thing. Like most people do when they go to any other foreign country.
That's right.
But when motherfuckers come here, it's confusion about who should be respected. Because everybody think that they should be respected but our damn people. Foreigners think that they got more of a right than we do. They sit up and turn their nose up at us.
Yep.
In a minute.
The government indoctrinates them.
Come on, in today's world of knowing, they know better. Their educational systems are set up different than ours. The thing is, them motherfuckers cut a deal when they become corporate citizens.
That's
right.
They ain't getting no goddamn passes. You dirty bitches signed on the shit and knew what the fuck was going on.
Yeah,
you bitches came over here to exploit us just like every fucking body else.
I enjoy doing it.
So they all get what they fucking deserve too. It's just the way the shit goes. I ain't got to wish shit on nobody. They said that's what they wanted. Because, I mean, take Christianity, for instance. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yep.
So, I ain't wish the motherfucking thing on nobody. When you came over here and started exploiting and raping and killing and doing all the shit that you doing, that's what you said you want for your bloodline. So, when it started happening to your people, you asked for that.
True that.
When it happens directly to your bloodline, when it starts happening to people that you care about, you asked for that because of the shit that you did.
Yeah.
I mean, ain't your God taught you that? I mean, don't he got certain bloodlines being punished or cursed from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next? He got that mad at your ass? This forgiving, loving God got that mad at your ass? And he gonna curse your babies, and your babies' babies, and them babies, and anybody that hang out with them babies. But that's the same shit you want in the government. You want it religiously. You want it socially. You want to be a slave for whatever reason. But talk about being free all the time. You get a couple dollars, you free. You can go to the store, get you some. You can get some wine. You can get a weave. Get your nails done. So you free, you balling. All on social media. Taking pictures. Giving away your soul. Showing that you gave away your soul. And the little shit you gave it away for. But I digress. I mean, I can get going at times, y'all. But
you know, I just want to add one more thing. There was a senator that quit. His name is Vernon Jones, I think. He's a Democratic senator, and he quit because he got a lot of blowback for complimenting Trump on something too. And he said, "I'm done." and he's getting out of the seat. I think it was effective this month.
Well, I look at all that, though, if this is all entertainment, just like with sports. I mean, you may have your favorite team, but you also admit that there's some other good players out there that play for other teams. I mean, it's called good sportsmanship, give it somebody their props because they're good at what they do. That don't mean that you're in love with the person or this, that, or the other, or that you'll ride or die now, this, that, or the other. It's just...
That's truth.
It's just acknowledging a good game.
Exactly.
I wonder if Sis got cut off.
Oh, yeah, she's not saying nothing.
You know what? It went on mute. This just my night to be straight fucked with.
Because I'm like, Sis ain't cut in yet.
I know, right? She ain't interrupted my fault yet. My bad. Yeah, I'm just a talking. You're like, I wonder if Sis got looked. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't got put on mute. So, no, Brother Sean, I 1,000% agree with you. And to me, just like you said, and I've said this throughout the years, and the more and more everything speeds up, the more and more it becomes obvious that most folk do not want to take the responsibility for self. So they're always going to look for another outside source to govern them. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's they right. But like you said, you get what the fuck you get. So at that point, you whining. You know what I'm saying? Because if you asking somebody to take care of you, goddamn it, you got to dance to their music. That's just the bottom line. And folks just swapped from coming up out of the 95% world and religion over to the truther community, but they still picking a master to take care of them at the end of the day because they refuse to be responsible for self. And being responsible for self means all of it. So whatever faults, whatever mistakes, all of that shit, you take ownership of self. But no, folks rather latch on, like you said, Brother Sean, and thank you. You just clarified for me what's going on with that motherfucking 4%. They setting up, lining up their followers for the remix or the next takeover or the next reset. That makes perfect sense of what the fuck you're saying. And that's cool. If folks want to follow them, I don't want no fucking parts of it. Don't bring that fuck shit to me. I'm not interested. Because you talk about, I just wanted to just vomit when they started this Nasera Gacera shit again. I'm like, and I'm not talking about Caucasian folks. I'm talking about melanated people. I'm like, you got to be fucking bullshitting me, right? I'm like, you've got to be bullshitting me. Literally, this sister jumped on this brother's radio show, just like you said, Brother Sean, because this brother has a huge following. I mean, huge. And he's in that entertainment world where he know the entertainers, from like the behind the scenes purposes. And so she on his platform talking about Nasera Gacera, like that shit just fucking jumped off. And I'm sitting there with my motherfucking mouth open like, you gotta be fucking bullshitting me, right? So you are absolutely right. And it seems like to me that it's planned. because these folks will sprout up out of nowhere and start pushing that agenda to get all these followers up under them. And then because ego is powerful and their heart and vibration is not in tune to do the right thing in the first motherfucking place, some scandal break off to bring their monk ass down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing over and over again. And I was just appalled that this Nasira Gasera stuff is starting back up like this shit is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, the white boys and them been following this for years, but I'm telling y'all, I was just disgusted. Yeah, agenda equals age, and absolutely esotericism. I'm sorry, go ahead on, Brother Sean.
But if you think about it, a few years back when we had Sis Lioness on, we were talking about the fact that Trump was tapping off into the divine feminine energy. And we actually talked about a lot of this shit before Q or any of them.
Elemental P them, yeah.
So that's probably why it just perturbs you so damn much, because we didn't already been over this shit.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Like I said, my nerves is bad. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on now.
Right,
I don't revisit shit.
I'm going to need you to calm down, sis. Because, you know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's why I just start chopping people off.
So, you know, you've been there, done that. So, I mean, you know,
and
everybody
got the T-shirt.
Else. Right. Everybody else going through their little stages. You know, we have to sit back and watch. We can't be on the board all the time. We have to sit back and watch. You know, I enjoy watching people's growth as they go from one stage to the next, especially when I've been there, done that, and see how they react to it, or rather not
to
they
see
let
them evolve.
Or see if they let themselves get lulled back to sleep when the seal on it change or whatever. You know, when they remix it.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right, Brother Sean.
Also, I mean, how, when you know that they are not indigenous anywhere on the planet, why would you even want to settle any agreement that says equality? How can they have equal rights someplace they don't fucking belong?
Exactly.
That's just common fucking sense. I can't just come in your house and do what the fuck I want to do.
Right.
Come in your crib, just go in your refrigerator. Just go lay up in your bed right after work. Don't take my work clothes off, nothing. Just sprawl my dirty ass all across your bed. Laying on your bed, scratching my nuts. Whatever.
All of that. Right.
That'll be cool, right? But y'all let them come over here and do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yep. Because they chasing the fiat.
Right.
Yeah, they chasing the fiat. It's not the concern about the land, about heritage, about even leaving a legacy for their children. It's just about chasing the fiat to try to get above survival, but you're disrespecting the mother and the land to get that fiat, and then you wonder why it never works out for you. You're chasing something that was never set up for you in the beginning, and I don't know how many motherfucking charters or how much shit we have to read as we go through these series that clearly says they didn't set that shit up for the indigenous people. So
that's what they got.
Either.
What you say, sis?
Period. Right?
Agree. I 1,000% agree. I 1,000% agree. It's for the corporation itself, and even Caucasian people have fell into the trap thinking that those pieces of papers, that Constitution contract, gives them some sort of rights, and it was never meant for them either.
I mean, we're up under Executive Powers Act right now, so there is no Constitution. He basically got free will to do what the fuck he want to do.
Martial law.
Now, I mean, luckily, he is somewhat cast under a spell of divine feminine energy, or we'd really all be fucked up right now.
Right. True that.
If
I
that
totally
man
agree
was
on that.
If that man was as dumb and as fucked up as people say he is, we'd really be in a whole lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And he's neither.
Right. So while people think in 3 years that this man that everybody calls stupid and the reality TV show star and the most bankrupt businessman in the world, if you think he can come in office and in 3 years undo all this bullshit, y'all deserve everything that y'all going through.
Yep. Y'all keep going. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Because, I mean, obviously, he's not doing a damn thing on his own. There's obviously somebody behind him. They used the perfect puppet to antagonize and piss everybody the fuck off. And he's doing a damn good job at it.
He is. He is.
I mean,
but we be running right now, Brother Sean. If he was on the same side as the other people, man, we'd be in serious trouble. We'd be all herded like cattle to the branding.
Exactly.
We'll have to run.
I mean, you need an asshole in order to know they shit.
Yeah.
He know they shit. He the same type of asshole almost.
Well, came up on.
He came up on the business side, you know, more or less the private and the business side, but he wasn't on in the political spectrum, which is a whole different ballgame. Even though the two overlap and intertwine, they have been two separate entities. And that's why they really hate his ass, because they've been living off of people like him. I mean, we think the rich get tax breaks, this, that, or the other, but what they have to pay for taxes be hurting, and then what they have to pay in order to get the tax breaks that they be getting be hurting. They have plenty of reason to fucking hate each other. Then if the government sit up here and impose all these sanctions and this, that, or the other, and force people out of business, force people to have to go to other countries, this, that, or the other, because they can't run their business here. They didn't let somebody else run them out of business who they in bed with. You know, that's like how the Rockefellers and Rothschilds took over other people's businesses.
Right.
They had senators and stuff in pocket, so they paid them to pass certain legislation, this, that, or the other, and forced the competitor out of business. And then when he in bankruptcy court or whatever, then he make him an offer to merge and then take over his shit for peanuts. They run a wicked game, but the fact that they do each other like that is the reason that I bring this stuff up. For people to honestly think that they're just going to hand all this shit back over after all they went through to get it, willing to gut their own mama, willing to eat their own baby, to get what they got, and you think that they just going to give it back to you because you signed a piece of paper.
Yep.
They will tear this whole motherfucker up. And they showed you that when they released this bioterrorist attack. They like Trump and killing them, putting us on blast. They cutting off to our funds, our adrenochrome. This stuff. I mean, you can't deny that these are some sick, evil bastards. This stuff is real, whether people want to believe it or not. But these are the type of people that have kept people entertained. These are the people that you were in love with, wanted to be like. You know, you took your children to Disney movies, or put your children in front of Disney movies. These are the characters that you put your kids in talent shows to dress like and try and sound like and be like. I mean, monsters that you voluntarily, happily gave your children over to. And as adults, you followed and worshiped and praise these motherfuckers. They can do no goddamn wrong.
Wanda, where's your horn?
I know. I'm just letting them go on. I didn't want to interrupt them, but let me go on and find it, because he is, when Brother Sean go in, he go in. Keep on going, brother.
Hey, look at it, brother.
And the entire time, it's fuckery. All fuckery to maintain control over you.
That's right.
And you enjoy doing it. Every free moment you get spent toward these people.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about sports people, this, that, or the other, you constantly looking at their stats, who going here, who going there. If it's your favorite singer, you're paying attention to every little this, that, or the other. When is the new this, that, or the other coming out? This, that, or every little thing they do, they could do. They so broke and taking a beating right now, and y'all so thirsty for them that these motherfuckers can sit up and tweet or put on Instagram, I'm on the toilet, and get a motherfucking million hits.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even actually let you see them piss or shit. You just looking at their face. I'm on the toilet. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, we love you. We love you. I'm shitting. You're like that fucked up that you would actually come on my live and I told you I'm on the toilet?
Yep. Yep. But yet the other information ain't trying to hear none of that. So that's why I'm with you. They get what they get. Shit.
I mean, they dig into these celebrities' past, find out their real names, this, that, or other, where they live, where they went to school at, their mama's address. All type of shit. I mean, when these stalkers be heavily into a celebrity or something, I mean, they find out all this shit. Would it pop up at all their shows, radio station interviews, and they ain't even said they was going to be there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
People can find out all that type of shit when they're obsessed with somebody, but nobody seems to be that obsessed with finding themselves.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, just half the energy that was put into this celebrity worship was put into worshiping your own damn bloodline and worshiping yourself.
Exactly.
Trying to find out everything you can do to be the best you that you can be, so that you can impress you instead of trying to impress another motherfucker.
Right.
They really don't give a fuck about you.
None. No fucks are given.
All I want you to do is watch my movie or buy my download, or back in the day, buy my CD, buy my album, buy my cassette. I don't give a fuck about you after that. I don't even give a fuck about what you do with the CD, after you buy it. You can stick it up your ass for all I care. You pay
as far as
for
I'm concerned. Yeah, now they done branched into the cosmetics and the clothing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, endorsing this and endorsing that, and I don't get mad at the celebrities. It is what it is. That's what they're supposed to do. It's like you said, the people, their consciousness. And you have grown motherfucking folks that will cuss you plumb the fuck out over all of that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't deal with none of it. I'm not interested. Don't bring the shit to me. So the fuck what?
Yeah, why their children are disappearing for that adrenochrome.
Obviously, they don't care.
Well, no, they don't.
It's not a priority. Like I said a couple of years ago, and I know it probably struck some nerve, but it's the truth. If folks allow those type of things to happen in their own family, and I'm talking about abuse, physical, molestation, mistreatment of women, etc., etc. No, that other shit don't faze them, because their own house ain't clean. That's the sick side of all of this. So, I can't, me personally, I cannot expect someone to grasp spiritual information when their own physical house is fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Correct. I mean, if you think about it, crack helped set up our communities to start becoming a part of that human trafficking or sex trafficking and pedophilia, because so many goddamn crackhead mamas would sell their goddamn babies or whatever for a fix. And to me, the most disgusting part about it was a nigga from the hood.
I know, brother. I know.
Fucking with somebody else's baby.
Baby.
The pedophile and this, that, and the other. But then all these motherfuckers sit up talking about how these celebrities are when all these babies ain't coming up missing without parental support.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
And the celebs ain't the only motherfuckers fucking with babies.
Exactly. That's the point I'm going towards. And before, quote, quote, melanated people as a collective, which there isn't a melanated people as a collective, that's a fucking myth and a fucking joke right there.
Exactly.
Start to point the finger at somebody else. Clean up your own motherfucking doorstep.
That's right. That's right.
Clean it up. Yes, Purple Pill, over 1 million missing women worldwide. Exactly. And that's just the women. We're not even talking about the babies. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, don't nobody want to be the big mama no more. Nobody want to put on the motherfucking house dust dresser and be big mama. So nobody within their own family steps in and becomes the protector of these helpless children. But yet, you want to talk about what somebody else is doing? No. You got to clean up your own doorstep first. And until that's done, I personally don't be wanting to hear that fuck shit about what somebody else is supposedly and allegedly doing. Because what is being done to self far outweighs anything. If folks can't take a hard look in the mirror and clean up their own shit, come on now. People want to talk about the hood, but within the hood, you got the hood people robbing the hood. For the most part, they ain't going over to the rich neighborhoods robbing. They don't have the fucking balls to do that. So now maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not thinking logically. So that's why I don't fall into that fuck shit about what they doing now. Now let's start with what the fuck you doing to you. Is your doorstep cleaned up? How many melanated children are in the foster care system? When that never used to happen just a couple of generations ago, it was very, very rare because there was always somebody stepping in. Auntie now, big mama, somebody. So I personally, you can't bring that fuck shit to me about they. You can't bring it to me because I'm going to hurt your motherfucking feelings. And the very people, the 4% with followers, them motherfuckers don't take care of their own children. Got a women chasing them for child support, or mothers who got children in the system. So I ain't trying to hear none of that fuck shit. It starts with self. If you can't govern self, you can't govern your household. If you can't govern your household, you can't govern your block. So how the fuck you gonna run a nation? And every week we've been going through indentured servants, the come up of the Caucasians, and how everything that we were quote taught didn't even shake down the way we were told it shook down. So how long are folks gonna use they for an excuse for shit you supposed to be doing for you? What type of legacy are you leaving for you and yours? But these conversations, the quote melanated collective, they don't want to fucking have these conversations.
Neither do the indigenous leaders.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Because you're an indigenous leader. You got your little recognized tribe. You may have a little bit of land, but what type of true indigenous culture are you living? I mean, do you have a relationship restored with Mama? Is your bloodline curse broken, or you and the select few accepting privileges?
Exactly.
I mean, it's about Mama.
It is.
First and foremost. If she's not completely free, we ain't completely free.
That is correct.
If they hold on to any part of her body, there's a chance of reinfestation.
Yep.
people keep saying that this is the war of all wars. This the end game. This, that, or the other. But you still flip-flopping.
Mm-hmm.
You still trying to hold on to base shit. And this ain't got nothing to do with quote-unquote color, because there's melanated motherfuckers who ain't indigenous to here either.
That's right. That is correct.
So, I mean, if we go talk about colors, you got people with colors going back to green, purple. I mean, you got all different shades of color.
Right.
But I don't give a fuck about none of them if they ain't indigenous to here.
Exactly.
And Mama gonna sort all that out. That ain't for me to worry about.
Indeed.
I need to make sure my mama know and understand that I love, honor, and respect her.
Her, absolutely.
You can be a badass if you want to. Mama gonna see I ain't out there with Tyrone and them. I didn't go out, Mama.
Not
Tyrone. I
Tyrone.
was right here, Mama. I was right here. I was right by you. What now, Mama? Look, Mama, it's me. I'm right here.
Yeah, when she come out with that belt and them motherfucking rollers and house coat and house shoes on. No, it wasn't me. You a motherfucker. Beat. God damn it! I told you to be on this porch.
Right.
Exactly.
When that street light come on, your ass better be out here.
Exactly. And don't think I don't fucking see, because I'm sitting right in the window. You don't think I see, but I see your ass.
Right.
They don't
I
respect
mean,
exactly.
That's what people don't seem to get. They're losing focus of what
exactly
the ultimate prize is. I mean, people talk about birthrights and inheritance, your birthright inheritance, this, that, or the other. That had nothing to do with controlling or having an empire and having subjects and this, that, or the other. Your birthright is to be able to live freely, happily, healthily.
right.
You just look out for Mama. That's what you're here to do. You're here to grow, create, and most importantly, take care of Mama, because without Mama, you can't do none of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's interesting, Brother Sean. I thought about you because it's been raining. I don't know if y'all been getting the rain up there for, 3 days straight now?
Yep.
Why yesterday it rained literally all day by me, and then finally, right when the sun went down, it stopped. Sky was lit the fuck up with that red oxide dust. And then people were sending pictures in to the news place where the sky was all purple and people running everywhere. And I'm sitting there like, wow. But nobody paying attention to that. Mama study talking, study showing you that she cleaning up, radiation levels off the fucking chain, but folks not paying attention to that. They worried about what the corporation and what the system is doing. And it's not going to sustain. So, yeah, points well taken, very well taken. It is what it is. All right. Last week we talked about when we were in Nancy Eisenberg's White Trash 400 Years Untold History of Class in America. And we saw where Caucasians took on that title of Anglo-Saxon. Well, we already knew from the series Black Nobility that the original Saxons were melanated. So, fortunately, we were rudely cut off from YouTube, but when I go and upload this part 2 to YouTube, you will see pictures of them Saxons, the melanated Saxons. So there is a brother, I'm minding my business, and one of the YouTube videos came across my feed, and it literally, the name of the title of it, Anglo-Saxons Were Black. And it's by a brother, his YouTube channel is Peter Alvarez. He did an absolute excellent job on this video. And then I did some additional research on my own. So let's get to these Saxons. All right. From a snippet of a book called The Black Anglo-Saxons, from what has been said of the presence of broad-headed people of a brunette type in parts of Norway, among the much more numerous long-headed people of a fair complexion who formed the bulk of Norwegian nation, it will be seen that the facts point to an earlier broad-headed brown race, some of whom settled on the Norwegian coast, the long-headed fair race of the typical Norse variety, having perhaps subsequently conquered them. In any case, we find evidence sufficient to justify the inference that probably the earlier broadhead people were brown. The same result is obtained by the study of the broadhead people of Central Europe at the present day, the descendants presumably of the old Alpine brown race. The same evidence is afforded by the remnant of the Wends, whose skulls are broad and whose complexion are more or less brown at the present day, notwithstanding their fusion with the Germans. We have thus existing in Norway and parts of Germany at the present time peoples whose ethnological characteristics appear to agree with those of a section of the Anglo-Saxon people in England. It does not, of course, admit of proof that the broad-headed skulls, which occur in a small minority of Anglo-Saxon cemeteries, were the skulls of people of a brunette complexion. Okay, so I just want us to be clear. When you go to the etymology of that word brunette, you look at the adjective, because today people think of brunette and they just think of hair color. The etymology of the word is an adjective of a woman, dark in complexion, having a brownish tone to the skin and hair. 1660, from French brunette, brownish, brown hair, dark complected. Brown, 12th century, of West Germanic origin, from Proto-Germanic, and then it's saying bright brown. Okay, so that is the etymology of brunette. All right, similarly, we are unable to prove that the people who are brown Bruneman or Bruning in Saxon's charters or other documents were broad-headed, but in view of the ethnological survival to the present day in various parts of North Europe, from which our Anglo-Saxon forefathers came, of broadhead people of the brunette type, we can point in England to the fact that broad skulls are found in Anglo-Saxon graves and to the historical fact that they were brown people in England during the Anglo-Saxon period. And there the evidence must be left.
So,
go ahead, sis.
Charles II supposedly gave these Windsors, because Charles II was in Germany. He's an Anglo-Saxon.
Well, tell it, sis. Well.
Melanated. So how did they get into the office? If they're from Germany and Anglo-Saxon.
And we're going to talk about that because, and that's why I'm also recommending Dude's video. I'm going to read it again. Anglo-Saxons were black. Peter Alvarez is the brother's YouTube channel. He broke it down very nicely. Great work, brother. I'm going to go over some snippets from his video, but he lays it out beautifully in his video. So just the last portion of this snippet from this book. And of course I have to get that book. It's on its way. It's saying, it may, however, be borne in mind that as a brown passes into dark brown or black, the literary evidence concerning brown Anglo-Saxons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just a snippet from the book, The Black Anglo-Saxons. So, out of the brother's video, Anglo-Saxons Were Black by Peter Alvarez on YouTube, he also goes over the name, and I know Purple Pill, you know, you've seen this before because you've traveled in Europe. You've seen the different melanated family crusts. Schwarzkopf, Schwarzkopf. Now, in America, we know that name Swartz. And typically, when we hear that name Swartz, people think of
the general.
Caucasian, exactly, Caucasian Jewish folk. All right? But when you all, if you all go back and listen to this on YouTube, I'm going to have to upload this little second part. Pisses me the hell off, but it is what it is. They ain't going to stop nothing. I have included in the pictures the family crest, or crest rather, for Schwarzkopf. Melanated man all day long with the woolly hair. So, Schwarzkopf origins, I'm looking at this on the House of Names. Origins is Germany. From the historical and enchanting region of Germany emerged a multitude of noble families, including the distinguished Schwarzkopf family. Originally, the German people were known only by a single name. The process by which hereditary surnames were adopted in Germany is extremely interesting. Surnames evolved during the Middle Ages when people began to assume an extra name to avoid confusion and further identifying themselves. Often they adopted names that were derived from nicknames. Now, who uses nicknames a lot?
We do. I mean, you got certain relatives, they got a nickname for everybody. They call you everything but your real name.
Exactly. And
Mama?
you have to tell them when, you around people that ain't family, you have to literally tell them, auntie, them, come on now, don't be saying, people don't know me by that nickname. And I have had close friends that have known me like 20-something years try to joke around and think they could call me by my nickname. I said, no, no, that don't rock. And they crack up laughing. I'm like, only family can call me by that nickname. Exactly, Brother Sean. So, okay, we just got kicked off of. I just got kicked off a Blog Talk call. I tell you, y'all. All right, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to go in overtime tonight. All right, so anyhow, here we go. So, all right. So, nicknames, surnames were derived from an eke name or added name. They usually reflected the physical characteristic or attributes of the first person that used the name. The name Schwarzkopf is a nickname type of a surname for a person with black hair. Looking back further, we find the name Schwarzkopf was originally derived from the old German word Schwarz, meaning black.
Like swarthy.
And Kopf, exactly.
Yeah,
like swarthy, exactly. And Kopf meaning head, so black head. The surname Schwarzkopf was first found in Saxon province of Altmark, where the name gained a significant reputation for its contribution to the emerging medieval society. The oldest branch of the family had its seat at the estate of Uenlingen near Stendal as early as 1400. All right, so I'm not going to go into all that other stuff. So I just wanted to give you all the derivative of that name Schwartz and what it really meant. Now, let's still get back to these Saxons. So let me go to this information. Hold on a second, family. And again, check out the brother's video because he lays it out nicely. I'm just going to give you a couple of snippets. Where do I want to start? Okay, so basically the brother goes into the video. He's going to kind of give you in chronological order these different European kingdoms, and he's also going to show you how they were intermarrying with each other. So one of the folk that he showed in his video was Elector Frederick III, the Wise of Saxony, 1507. And he literally has a coin that was fashioned after him, clearly a brother, and that'll be in the YouTube pictures as well. So Elector Frederick III, Holy Roman Emperor. Okay, so once again, I never forget, about 4 years ago, somebody was on Facebook talking about the Holy Roman Empire, and then a couple of us started talking about, well, you do know that melanated people started the Holy Roman Empire. Boy, this melanated man went off. Y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about, woo, woo, woo. So people start posting receipts. No, y'all can just go head on with that. Y'all can just go head on with that. Oh, okay then. So once again, Elector Frederick III, Holy Roman Emperor from 1415 to 1493, entered into the Vienna Concordat with the Holy See, which remained in force until 1806 and regulated the relationship between the Habsburgs and the Holy See. Frederick was the last emperor to be crowned in Rome. He opposed the reform of the Holy Roman Empire at that time and was barely able to prevent the electors from electing another king. Okay, so this is pretty much telling you that this particular pope was sitting on the seat of throne out of Germany. Okay? So when you once again watch that brother's video, he's going to break it down with even more receipts. I just pulled some of the highlights, and the video is not long, so you could definitely get through it to make those particular connects. All right, so let me pull the other one I had for y'all. All right, out of that. To just show y'all how these folk was marrying each other. So that's how folks started sitting on these seats of thrones. King Philip of Spain, or Philippe, because I heard folks pronounce it the French. Philippe. King Philip of Spain, right? Melanated, again, if you go back to YouTube once I upload this and look at the pictures, melanated man, and actually, I got to give it to him. He's a nice-looking melanated man. All right, but that's beside the motherfucking fact. King Philip of Spain, through the wife of Philip, Queen Mary I, daughter of Henry VIII, and member of the House of Tudor. Okay, so I paused to the House of Tudor of England and Ireland.
Tudor. I have.
Go ahead, sis.
I have a list of the 10 tribes, the Golden Hordes that came in and conquered, and the Saxons became the English, but the Saxons was what you're talking about, us. But when the Golden Horde came down, all these names changed. Now, they could have had intermarriage, but like the Alemanni became the Germans. The Borgians became the Swiss. The Lombards became the Italians. So all these names that we have modern day now, it's not the same people that it was before. They had different titles, different names. And I think the confusion is when he said, you say they were the Germans were black, but they weren't called Germans. That's what I'm saying. And the Swazi are now called Portuguese. So they didn't change their titles because different armies came in and took them down. The Saxons were taken down and became English. So that's my contribution, because I studied the 10 Genghis Khan's people, and you came up with R1B1, where they came out of Africa, and they were Arabs, came out of Africa and conquered Europe, and that's when they started.
The Moors.
The Moors led them, I think, but the R1B1 is, that's monkey DNA, and so they're the ones who's ruling England and all that kind of stuff right now. And so that they took their DNA, they will find, because they had that English title, where the Saxons used to rule England.
But the Saxons didn't the Saxon put the Windsors
Charles II
on that throne?
No, Charles II was German, or alimony. And if Charles II was alimony, then he got overtaken by the Germans.
Okay, I'm going to say again. Did it not say that Charles II sanctioned the Windsor, the use of the Windsor name? Okay, so how was he taken over if he sanctioned the use of the Windsor name?
Well, the problem is, who is Charles II at that time? Because in my own line of family, they got second creations of the same name.
I totally understand that, because I have that in my family. Matter of fact, when I did my genealogy and I pulled the records, I literally saw where all of my great uncles and them all had the exact same names from one of my ancestors. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand.
Not saying that. I'm saying that my ancestors,
they use those names. I understand that. I understand all of that.
They were killed. They were beheaded. They were done. And so what they did is got a duplicate and used his name. That's what I'm saying.
So, all right, so what we need for you to do is bring those receipts.
I have them.
Bring them. Yeah, bring your sources. Bring your sources next week.
Okay.
What are the sources? Because I'm just going by the various sources that we've been doing this research over the past 2 years. So I'm not trying to dispute it. I said you bring your sources. So whether or not you get that from Brother Lex, that's all cool too. What is the source?
I'm not going to share all of my DNA, but I do know that
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about these nobles. I need the sources of where they were killed and their identity was taken over. Now, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just asking what are the sources of that information?
Mine came from my relatives that they were killed and somebody took their identity.
Oh, okay. Okay. I feel you. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, that I get you now. That's understandable. I see what you're saying. Okay, so King Philip of Spain, through the wife of Philip, Queen Mary I, daughter of Henry VIII, and a member of the House of Tudor of England and Ireland, the Holy Roman Empire merged in power with the House of Tudor and eventually the House of Plantagenet. After the reign of Mary came her sister Elizabeth, who passed the throne to King James the sixth and the first of the House of Stuart, merging Scotland, Ireland, England, and France as one kingdom. All right, so that's one.
Going back to when you said that they were slaves of the Indians, the mongrels, and there was another one.
No, you mean out of the book? Yeah, let me go back. And anyone that has the book, that's page 142.
No, the Moors.
The Moors, Indians, and mongrels.
Now, that just goes to show you the motherfuckers was cutting deals.
Exactly.
And slaves. Now, the original quote-unquote the mongrels, or Mongols, or however it's said, were melanated.
Exactly.
Because as you look at the quote-unquote Native American images, the further you go back, the darker they are.
Exactly.
And you even see that over in quote-unquote Asia. The original quote-unquote Asians were melanated.
Genghis Khan wasn't.
So the original. So Genghis Khan and them, that had to be part of that
Golden Horde.
Which is that lot coming from up out of Tartaria, that region. Because it was the quote-unquote Tartarians that usurped the melanated bloodline and became the Germans and everybody else and started assuming everybody's identity.
Exactly. Because I know my bloodline is one of them royal bloodlines, and I know that I am not nearby light-skinned. And they came over there and took over the identity. I could tell you who my relative is because I've done some extensive research here this week on them. I knew the name, but now they're coming out with it and saying the second creation. So the second creation, I've already looked at that man's face, and I'm like, that ain't my family. They substituted some of them hordes, them golden hordes, into the kingdoms. So Elizabeth was not a white woman.
We're in agreement with that because that was my next question. I'm like, so you saying she was a white woman?
No,
we're in agreement. So who are the Golden Horde people? Are they melanated or what are they?
They're
What's
not
their
melanated.
What is their ethnicity?
They're mongrels from wherever they came from. The movie says from Prometheus. So, demigods or whatever, I don't know. But they came in out of Africa. That's where the scientists are now agreeing with the out of Africa movement. If you shave a monkey, then they turn out to be white. They're not dark. So these people either created these characters, the Negro monkey, and it came up to be this color. Because Genghis Khan he's not a melanated man at all. And they came in there and superseded the rulership of England. See, because Merkel is a Plantagenet. Her mom is a Plantagenet. But now the people on the throne right now are saying that should they take her to Elizabeth to see her picture of her great-great. Where did they get that from? I mean, they took over everything. None of that stuff is theirs. None of it. And they're not white from Charles, Edward IV, King Henry V, 7th. I am part of that bloodline, so I know they were not white.
Okay, so you're confusing me. Just bear with me. I'm a little slow on this. I think I'm following you, but you're losing me somewhere. So let's start with King James. Melanated or not?
He was melanated.
Okay, so is he part of King Khan them?
No. He's not. And he's not a a Moor. He's not a Moor. So this person
I know that. I agree with that.
Moor. The Moors brought them things out of Africa to conquer Europe.
And so when did that happen?
Well, Genghis Khan ruled in the 1100s to the 1300s. Okay. So they were running through England and taking down the kings and the kingdoms. So I'm assuming, by my reasoning, since I know the line of those people over there, even the Plantagenets, because it was the War of the Roses. when the Lancasters in New York was fighting, when somebody said the King James was was called the Duke of York, I said, because I know that line. So therefore, they were overtaken somewhere, but they used their identity. They stole their identity. This is what I'm saying. Like the Yanama people, they steal people's identity.
Okay, so I'm still getting lost because I'm trying to follow. What color was the original Genghis Khan?
I told you he was a Mongol. He was white.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. That's why the Chinese are not white. I mean black, right? There's the original Chinese that was black, but not the ones that took over. I mean, you can see it right there in your face. They're not the same people that were there before.
I know that, but that's still not answering my question. Because King Charles and them were melanated.
Exactly. But that line is not melanated.
We're not talking about now. You question, according to you, Golden Horde and them have the mongoloid skin tone that we say today. And they start taking over in the 1100s.
They came
from
here,
the original melanated people.
He did 200 square miles, 20 million square miles? He conquered that much territory.
Okay, so I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask again. How did King Charles and them maintain their color then? If they're a part of Genghis Khan now.
Say that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the original King Charles was melanated. The people that took them down took over their kingdoms. They bleached out the coins or the jewelry, the pictures.
I understand all of that. Did I not do a series on the black nobility? I'm asking you specifically when, and your dates are not lining up. They're not lining up with the last people in power.
When they came out of, my dates are not clear as to when they came out of Africa and took down the royals that are already ruling.
No, they don't. Those dates don't match because King Charles.
Okay, now listen. There's another thing I also found out as I was studying, that the history is overlapped or sometimes duplicated, and the names have been changed. They have duplicated the history of the names of the people. They have changed the dates in the books as to when this stuff happened. And
but that still does not answer my question.
They changed it.
No, you're not answering my question. I asked King Charles. Let's stay on King Charles. Let's stay on King Charles.
I don't.
Okay.
I told you I didn't know the date.
Okay. All right. And that's fine because my point being is King Charles, known as the Black Boy, the one that wrote them charters over in the Americas, he had that swarthy, tawny complexion. So according to your timeline of Genghis Khan, they would have already taken over and infiltrated that kingdom.
Now the
so
timeline
if the Genghis Khan, wait, because you said you didn't know. Wait.
No, but I'm going to tell you about the timeline.
Wait. I'm not done. I am not done.
Okay.
So by that means that whoever was taking over that Khan that you said was white, they had, 100, 200, that was 1100, and King Charles was doing charters in the motherfucking 16-something hundreds, 17-something hundreds. That's 600 years. I'll even give it 500 years.
Okay, let me put it
so
like this.
they still had swarthy complexions.
King Drop has a video out there. I just finished his series, or I'm finishing up his series, and Russian scientists have set out a chart of how they then overlap the time frames. The 300 AD, there was no Jesus, okay? So all of that stuff is dead. There's no A, there's no B, there's just time. 300, the 1,000 year was overlapped. The 12, I think it was 1,200, 1,300, and 1,800. So we're talking about 1,800 right now. They have overlapped the histories, renamed the people the same names as the ones before. And the Russian scientists said they did not do mathematics or, astrology or anything when they figured it was a deliberate mislabeling the dates. The dates are mislabeled. I can't tell you what the date is if they mislabeled them.
I'm not even disputing none of that. I'll even put the dates aside. I'm asking, how is King Charles still melanated? If Khan them had came in and started taking stuff over.
He can't be.
But he is. We got the receipts that he is. Or he was. My bad. I'm acting like he still.
He was.
He was melanated. Melanated folks held that seat of power until the late 1800s.
1820s.
The king,
that was
the king.
I understand.
King Charles, the black boy, sanctioned that Windsor name.
That's what they say.
No, okay, that's what they say, but he was a melanated hue, tawny.
Well, if he's from King
sitting
James,
on that seat of
he was King James. He wasn't white. If he's King James Charles II, he's not white. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So you saying that the original King James, Charles was murdered. They put a white Charles up there, and that's how the white line started. That's what you're saying.
I'm assuming that may be the case. That's what I might, because King James's line is my line.
What does that have to do with King Charles?
Huh?
What does that have to do with King Charles? King James is not in question here.
That's his line too, out of the King Henry the Fifth and 6th, 8th, and all of them folks. That's their line.
Okay, so now the takeover was during Charles's time. That's what you're saying, right?
If the Windsors got the name and they're not melanated, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what about the melanated people that ruled over in the Americas?
That's Shem's line. I'm part of that one too.
Nah, I don't know nothing about Shem them.
I
don't know nothing about Shem them. I'm talking about. Let's stay on topic. Because you said King Charles got overtaken by some Caucasian or Mongoloid. I can't even put it on the Caucasians. My bad, Caucasian. By Mongoloid, who wasn't melanated. So the original melanated Mongoloid, the original melanated Genghis Khan got overtaken by this white-looking Mongoloid.
How do you know Genghis Khan was
mixes? Because there's pictures to show it.
I got pictures that don't show that.
I don't care what you have.
That ain't fair.
They whitewash stuff, remember?
We got two.
Identity theft that's taking place all over the planet.
No, because I'm just going by what your logic that you're saying.
Well,
because according to Ben Franklin, wait a minute, let's stick to the script. According to Ben Franklin, out of his own motherfucking Caucasian mouth, he said all of the planet was what? Tawny.
Well, Indians
black.
Over here were.
No, he did not just say America. That man.
I know what he said, and I heard you before.
Okay, so then what part of white came into play on that? And bless his heart, thank you, Benjamin Franklin, for being motherfucking honest and putting it in writing. Because you said all over the world and you went through each nation.
Well, he was over there in France with them hellfire people, so he must have been.
I don't care where he was at.
Who was he messing around?
I'm telling you what he said. I don't care who he was messing around with. So
well,
I'm trying to understand where the whiteness came into play.
Listen, I can only go by my DNA.
Okay then. Okay.
White people in my DNA line.
I'm not disputing that. I ain't
Well,
said you had no white folks in your
line.
line. I'm asking you, when did the white folks take over?
I don't know when they took over. I told you I couldn't give you the date.
I'm not even talking dates. You give me a kingdom. Give me something.
Over.
Give me a kingdom. Give me a kingdom.
Why do I have to give you anything? I gave you my DNA
because
record.
this is the show. No. Your DNA don't have anything to do with this conversation. This is about receipts. We have brought receipts. Your DNA does not qualify as receipts to these kingdoms. You made the statement. No. You made the statement that white folks took over the kingdom, that Genghis Khan took over the kingdom. And I'm asking you to provide the receipts when. Just give me a ballpark.
I told you between the 1100 and 1300s is what they have listed. Now, if those dates are correct, that's what it is. If those dates have been altered, I don't know.
Okay, and even if it's the 1100s, I'm going through all of these different kingdoms. I'm saying this one was melanated, that one was melanated, this one was melanated. That not what I'm saying, not what one source is saying. I'm saying multiple sources. I
mean, our history is wrong, right? And that's a fact. The books have been changed.
I'm in agreement with you on that.
What's his name?
I totally agree with you on that. That's why we go to multiple sources to pull them receipts.
Virginia changed all the darn books.
I understand all that. So I'm just asking you for the receipts that we bring out of multiple sources.
The best I can do for you is what I did.
Okay, and that's fair. That's fair. All right. And you know I love having these conversations with you, sis. Go ahead, Brother Sean. Since these are really good conversations, don't ever feel that they're not. It is excellent conversation because it helps everyone with critical thinking. So I really, really respect you for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean. I didn't mean to break your concentration.
So I heard Shem's bloodline mentioned and King James' bloodline mentioned.
That's right. And David. Let's not forget David.
See, you know I can't even talk to you on that biblical stuff, child, because that mess makes my head straight hurt.
Well, the Bible is pretty much the history of the people.
Well, they ain't my people. Now I'm going to turn it back on you. It ain't my people. Nah. It ain't my people. That's your people. That ain't my people.
I don't care. They were bad.
They ain't my people. They ain't my people. That's your people. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Shy.
We got in trouble.
Boy.
That's why we got in trouble because, they weren't good.
Indeed. I'm sorry, Brother Sean. Go ahead on.
What I'm wondering is, considering the actual lineage of that quote-unquote biblical bloodline, ain't really tied into indigenous nowhere. Can be tied into the book of Enoch and all this other extraterrestrial, non-aboriginal, indigenous, conquering beings.
Well, they're the Toltec Empire. They're Mayans.
And the classification.
Huh?
And the classification of royalty. I mean, through stuff that we've studied, book of demonology and other things that King James is accredited for. All the things he has said himself that he has done. That his bloodline was the original this, the original that. It has always been a conquering line.
Well, they also said he was a Moor, so that wasn't true in that book.
Bottom line is, seem like all the names after conquest were basically just describing the people in those areas, and descriptions became names under conquest or colonization, which has been taking place obviously for hundreds of thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the point that I'm getting to, and the point that I've always maintained, for all of those empires to have reached the vastness that they did, that was at the expense of all the indigenous people.
Exactly.
So, I mean, to me, those false claims of royalty, which come during the fall and patriarchy, like we've been saying all this time,
but
to claim
there was
those
great tribes.
histories is to claim the karma.
Exactly.
There was great leaders over here in this part of the world too. It's not just over there.
Any so-called great leader that we quote-unquote know of is a so-called great leader because they signed treaties and cut deals.
No.
You don't really hear about the conquered bloodlines and who they really were because they're all lumped up under fictitious names, or they're put up under confederacies or this, that, or the other. There was hundreds and thousands of tribes. So more than likely that means there was millions of bloodlines. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about the 13 bloodlines that ran shit, that were colonizers.
Yeah, because that's what they were.
The rest of us exist too. People being related to fictitious people in that book does not give one higher authority or more of a right than anybody else. In fact, it may give you less because you have all that karma to atone for. That's not my doing or saying. All of that's actually being played out right now.
Right now, yeah.
The people who are in those bloodlines of those conquering people who had positions of power and this, that, or the other, all that shifting, even with the impersonators, the identity thief,
right.
They're all pain.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter what shade you are. Everybody is paying for what their bloodline has done. If you're not here correcting,
exactly,
you're being punished because you're not handling the business.
Right.
That's all a part of that paperwork. People are trying to claim these bloodlines, this, that, and other, because they think that makes them that much closer to that God in that book.
I don't agree with that, but you have your opinion.
No, people do. I'm talking about people who are into that book and claim to be of those bloodlines, like Hebrew Israelites or anybody else that's part of that religious family that claims their rights through that book.
Yep.
It is a book of conquest. It is a book of conquest where that God told them to go everywhere and take everybody's shit.
Sure did.
What you want?
I don't like you motherfuckers. And y'all curse to this seed, to that seed, to this generation, but go take everybody else's shit, though.
Because I said so. I gave you the authority.
Right. To go conquer in my name.
But you guys don't even read them.
And set up these charters and set up this. If we're living up under ecclesiastical law, then that's based on that book. I mean, I can't help it if everything keeps pointing back to that book. That's not my doing. I didn't make these rules. I'm here figuring this shit out just like everybody else.
Everybody else, right.
But all I know is that I'm not part of that bloodline in that book where people were told to go take other people's shit.
Right.
They weren't told to take other people's...
Yes, they were. They went to this land and conquered and killed people. They went to that land and conquered and killed people.
Yep.
I mean, Moses was all over, but Moses traveled for 40 years fucking motherfuckers up in the desert. Everybody came across became a goddamn victim. And you tell me they weren't taking people's shit? Look at the promised land.
Dag, I had to go on mute and cough. People gonna think I got Rona. Damn, sis, I had to cough on this.
It's all right there in that book. I'm not making none of this shit up.
I do know what you're saying, but do I agree? Nope.
You don't have to agree. I'm talking about what's being said.
What's being
You know what? We're going to look back on this and say this shit is classic. Exactly. What's in the book?
Talking about
that's the receipts. That's the receipts in the book.
And that's what the law system is set up on, ecclesiastical law.
Yes, it is.
Anybody that's trying to make those claims, the whole Sarah thing is based on that book and ecclesiastical law. This, that, and the other. Everything that everybody is hoping for, whether you put aliens to it or not, it's still tied back to that damn book because we're up under ecclesiastical law.
Well, they have a facsimile of that book working, yes.
No, they said it was ecclesiastical law that we're up under.
I don't care what they say.
That ties back to that book. You don't care what they say because you're trying to base your claims on what they said.
I'm not breaking my claims on anything. because I'm not making any.
Yes, you are. You going by what it said. They said that Shem was from over here, and you said you're of Shem's bloodline, and they said that King James was from over there, and you were the Stuart bloodline from over there. So
hey,
they said that Shem was royalty here. They said that King James was royalty there, and you're claiming both of the lineages. Is all I'm saying. So King James and Shem, they're related. I'm asking, because if they're not related, when did the Stuart bloodline get mixed up with Shem and them, even though King James wrote about Shem and them?
Shem is the first name. You know that, don't you?
I know. Yeah, but King James wrote about him, right?
What? I'm sorry. My phone's dying out.
King James wrote the Bible, so he wrote about Shem, right?
He wrote about a lot of lineages, yes.
But we're talking about Shem and King James. We're talking about your bloodline.
So what about it?
King James wrote about Shem, and then somehow later on down the line, those bloodlines came together, and now we have you.
Not necessarily. You ain't got me down to
that's what you said. That's what you
said.
I
did not. I said I came from that bloodline. I didn't say you don't have me part of the equation. No, I'm not part of the equation at all. I'm just telling you.
Those bloodlines, sweetie, that's what you said.
But I had nothing to do with anything that went down.
You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing the point. I'm missing the point.
King James wrote about the characters in the Bible.
We got so many people that each person has so many parents.
Listen. King James wrote the Bible about characters that allegedly existed before he was alive. And Shem was one of those characters. So
I agree to that.
Somehow you said you're of Shem's bloodline. That's your indigenous ties here. And you're part of the Stuart bloodline, which is
I don't
part
have
of your...
Other people that married into the line.
Sis Rhonda.
You did say that, sis, because when I was questioning those receipts, you said your DNA, and I told you I ain't cared nothing about that.
I understood who those people were from back then. I didn't say nothing about all the way down to the Marcos. I don't know their bloodline. They're the Plantagenets.
No. But you said
you were of the Stuart bloodline. You said you were the King James bloodline.
Oh, that's right. James is named Stuart. That's why I forgot about that. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. That's his name. That's what they say his name is. Yeah. Yep.
What you mean that's what they say? That's your people?
I didn't even know who he was.
No, sis, you just said you did your DNA research, so you supposed to know what your people, your folk them are.
I said I know him as the Duke of York. That's how I knew him. That's how I knew who he was. Now the Stuarts, I don't know those people. I don't have any Stuarts in my family. But,
okay, so you just contradicted yourself. Huh? You just contradicted yourself. So that's just like me saying
my family that I know of.
It doesn't matter. He was a steward.
Well, okay.
That would be like me saying, whatever my mother's maiden name was, or my grandmother's maiden name was, or my great-great-grandmother's name. Oh, well, that's not me. What you mean it ain't you, boo?
Well, anyway, I don't have any Stuarts that I'm aware of then. I have none other than the James part and the Edward IV and stuff like that.
But James is a steward. James is a steward. It does not matter if you don't, to this day, have stewards in your family. He is a steward. His mama, matter of fact, his mama is a steward, which makes him more of a steward than the dad part. So if you saying you
could, Scots, I don't know her names at that time. No, I don't know those people's names by their last names they got. The last names didn't come about until later.
You contradicting yourself. If King James is your folk, if he your folk, And the steward is part of his name. That's part of you too.
Okay, I'll take it. So so what's the point?
Well, the point was be consistent. That's the point.
Well, if I have to go by a steward's name, I'm not familiar with it, but yeah, okay.
And it's not about you being familiar with it. That's a part of the heritage.
They say.
You said you did your family research and it tied back to blood now.
Yep.
Okay, so that steward is a part of that.
And I was just trying to get clarity. You said that, you King James bloodline and you of Shem's bloodline. I just think that, it's...
some of those people had 17, 10, 15 kids. So,
okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad bear with me, Brother Sean, just a little bit. I'm sorry, Sweet Pea, to cut you off. I'm glad you say that. Because you know what I find just absolutely fascinating? I hear people all the time say they tie back to this one, they tie back to that one. And we know them kings, them, had a bunch of baby mamas.
Yeah,
I don't even dispute that. I totally agree. I'm in 1,000% agreement with you on that. But here's the thing that messes me all the way up. How have you personally benefited from that?
I haven't benefited from none of it. Absolutely none of it.
Absolutely. So as they were writing them, chartered them, and setting up these kingdoms, did they take your part of the branch into consideration to get taken care of or broke off of anything?
No.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
Listen,
and that's just not for you. That's just not for you, sis. That's just in general.
We got on this subject to see when the melanated people were taken down.
Right.
When King Charles gave the charter or the names to the Windsors. That's what we're on this about.
Right. No, you're right. Because you're the one brought up your DNA, because I personally said, now I tried to give you an out, because I said I don't care about none of that. Let's stay on this other stuff.
And that original was melanated. The white folks came in somewhere. I don't know where they came in.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. That's the point I wanted to make, and that's just not towards you about the not benefiting. A lot of people that want to say, well, yeah, I tap back to this one, that. Boo, I'm not disputing any of that, because it's not for me to say you have every right to cuss me all the way out to the motherfucking down to the ground if I try to tell you who is you and yours. That's not none of my business. But logically, I'm thinking, okay, that's all cool and well, but how did that benefit you and yours? And that's not just for you. That's a lot of people say that. So it goes back to identifying with something, although it's a part of you. Essentially, you still in benefit from it.
No, and I can't tell you when
none of them kingdoms was set up for you all to benefit from.
And they may be fake names, because they name people different names at different ages, and gave they overlapped the ages with the different people. That's what I was trying to say when I was looking at King Drop, that David could have been called something else in another, kingdom that was they lined them up.
Well, we know they did that. We know they did. What didn't King James have about 4 or 5 different titles?
Because
he sat on them different thrones.
Huh? But then
I said he had 4 or 5 different titles because he sat on them different thrones. So I'm totally in agreement. With you on that.
He said on Scotland, and there's Irish blacks and melanated. There's so many of us that you don't know what name they gave him at that time, but they recorded certain names in the book. Like, whoever wrote that demonology, they gave him all kinds of stuff. He was in Belgium and all kinds of places according to that book. I don't know where he was.
Right.
But the people who wrote the history in the books that you have, it depends on which history they were picking up on when they wrote it. So what I'm saying basically is not all those dates are set in stone, because the Russian scientists I don't know what day that was or what year they figured it out, that these monks and these scribes who were recording this stuff was doing it wrong.
I got what you're saying. Everything else that's written is wrong except what you read about your bloodline.
No, I didn't say that at all.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I did not. And I'm not going to even take that. I'm just saying.
You just brought into question everything that we've been over, because you said the dates may not have been right, or this person may not have done this, or may not have done that. We then went over the different calendars and all the year changes and who added this, that, or the other to the calendar. We've been over all that. All I know is anytime somebody tell me that they're related to the fictional characters in the Bible, I'm interested in knowing how. Now, we done been over this whole thing with the DNA test and how they fake and how they place you over in Africa or with this person or with that person. Who has actually tested King James' DNA? Who has actually tested Shem's DNA?
They had to test. They tried to test. What's his name? Richard's DNA with the ones that exist over there, and they didn't even match.
Okay, but where's the remains of the real King James? Who dug him up? Who has the remains? Who has the test results? Now, I didn't do King James by bloodline. I went back for entertainment purposes only.
I went back by my family's name. We
talked about how people sit up there and get tests and they try and place you over there in West Africa or Nigeria or Ghana or this, that, or the other. But you managed to find one that pinpointed your people down to King James and Shem in the Bible. I just want to know how. I mean, that's intriguing to me. It's not to put you down or nothing. I mean, if somebody can honestly find that they're related to fictional characters in a book, I'm intrigued. I want to know. I'm just seeking clarity.
Why?
Because you brought the subject up.
No, I did not. I said that.
Since you backed yourself into that one.
Oh, no. I
was trying to get you off that DNA stuff. I swear I was trying to get you off of it.
DNA. But I'm going to King Drop in 2016. I was looking at his stuff.
King Drop. I understand all about King Drop.
And the ancient knowledge.
When did he become the authority on everything?
Well, he used other sources.
I understand all that, but if I remember correctly, he just went through some legal problems where he got locked up and was trying to push paperwork.
King Drop? I don't know. I don't know anything about his.
I'm trying to tell you what I know.
Well, the video he was showing was not him giving the video, it was somebody else.
I follow a lot of these people. I watch a lot of their stuff.
So,
but
anyway,
I don't believe everything that everybody put out. And anytime you talk about these DNA tests, they can't seem to manage to find out. I'm going back to the DNA.
Well, I'm not going to do
that. They ain't been able to find out one DNA test that link us back to here. They keep linking everybody back.
You got to ask them about that. They don't tell you that. They don't want to give you the land.
But you said your DNA linked you to Shem of the Bible, who is indigenous to here.
You say that DNA test did that.
You said that when you said you was linked to him. You said that you did. You said you did your DNA. You said you know about your blood, huh? This is what you said, sis. I'm going
I
on what you said.
understand who I am.
Quiet. I was listening. You and sis was going
I
in.
know what I
was
said.
sitting back listening.
I can say I am related to Shem too, because the name of the person I'm related to has the name from Shem, according to the Bible.
Never actually existed. Never mind.
You don't understand it, obviously.
I digress.
Because I'm not going to go on public radio and tell everything about my ancestry.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because I never do when folks want to argue about, oh, you ain't indigenous, I ain't showing you a mother effing thing, so I don't ever want you to do that. It's nobody's business.
Exactly. I was just wondering how it was found out. I didn't need to know exact details. I was just wondering how it got pinned down with such accuracy, and nobody in history has been able to have theirs pinpointed with such accuracy.
Well, that's their
I'm
problem.
just saying, you're that anomaly. You're Neo. You're the one.
Thank you.
So, just real quick, I don't know, family in the Blog Talk chat, because we've been getting messed with all night. I don't know if we are even going to get overtime, but if we do get overtime, you have 11 minutes if you want to continue with us to dial in at 929-477-3858, 929-477-3858. All right, so where I was trying to go, I'm going to list the brother's video again. I highly recommend it. Anglo-Saxons were black. Peter Alvarez. It's the YouTube channel. All right, so another gem that he brought up, Charlemagne, Carlston, or it could be Karlstein Castle, Czech Republic. Charlemagne means Charles the Great. 742 to 814 was king of the Franks from 1768 and emperor of the Romans from 800 to his death in 814. Melanated.
Franks turned into the French.
Okay, so that's just a snippet from that brother's video. Again, I highly recommend it. He brings the receipts. He gives you the chronological order of them Saxons, of those melanated Saxons, and how the melanated Saxons and the other kingdoms, the Spain, and how the kingdoms branched off to the French and all of that, and how Germany, all of them started intermarrying within each other's kingdoms and started warring with each other. And all the receipts that he brought, and it lines up to all of the other receipts that we have been talking about over the past 2 years, where all of these folks were melanated. So that means it was melanated on melanated, and the Caucasians did not come on the seat of throne until the 1800s. I say mid to late 1800s. By the 1900s, they had fully taken the seat of power. Okay, so I highly recommend that brother's video. The point of me even going through that whole exercise, because according to Nancy Eisenberg, White Trash, she tells you how Caucasians took on that title of Saxons. Okay? So, yes, it is correct. All of the titles that Caucasian folks are carrying today are originally melanated titles. What you saying, Purple Pill? The Shem Hamaphora, alternatively Shem Ha-Maphorash, or Shemer Hapharash, meaning the explicit name, is an originally Tanaitic term describing a hidden name of God in Kabbalah. Within LaVey, Satanism, the term Shem Hamapharash is used during rituals as outlined in the Satanic Bible. There are many, many, many so-called Bibles. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's just a collection coming from different sources, ancient texts, all of that jazz. Because, again, you can literally take the Book of Enoch and line it directly up with that Bible. And so even down to the names, very good point, Purple Pill. I see the point that you're trying to make, that when folks talk about these different bloodlines, those names really have a metaphysic connotation to it. So meaning you calling on those names and it's sending out a certain frequency in a ritualistic way. And that's why I say time and 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 time, know what you're calling on. Know the origins of it. You cannot get it out of one book. That's how the spells were cast. By words. Words cast vibrational tones, frequency, spells. So I'm not saying it to be malicious or try to hurt anyone's feelings. When we speak on these things, we're trying to tell you to break the generational curse. Break it out of your own bloodline with identifying with these things that are bringing a certain frequency, an ancient karmic debt. We are in the particular frequency where you're supposed to be reversing that out. Because those same frequencies, you keep attaching yourself to them, will spin you back into that loop, another cycle of 1,000 years minimum. Now that comes out of that beloved Bible book. It talks about the 1,000 years of peace. And then back to the fuck shit. So let me bring on 832. Now, again, my chat room, I don't know if you want to rock with us in overtime, you have to get in the queue. 929-477-3858. And to my family on the phone, I don't know if we're going to get cut off, y'all. It's just been one of them types of nights. So let me bring on 832. Oh, so I may not be able to blame it on you this week, brother, if we get cut off. 832, your line is open, brother.
Rhonda, Sandra, my sister,
Feathers up, brother.
Feathers up, brother.
United Snakes of America down. And since Sean is AWOL, my brother from another mother sitting on Mount Olympus with his legs crossed, throwing the black lightning bolts, not down tonight.
Brother Sean is here. Yeah. You missed it. Okay, you must have just came in. He's here. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Well, let me stay on topic though. Let me just point out one thing for consideration. You said Charlemagne, Charles the Great, from 742 to about 811 or whatever. Please correct me at any point if I'm wrong. The Moors claim, as we've been told in history, 711 to 1491, when on April Fools, they were told by the Caucasoid demons of the Catholic regime in Madrid and other areas in Spain. Some would say Andalusia, some would say, whatever. That's just quarreling over semantics. That they were told, come down to the docks, and we'll allow you safe passage. Now, this is some of the mythology that's taught in the Moorish Temple of America. That the creation of the colloquial April Fools is when they went to the docks, they found the ships on fire that were supposed to allow them transport safely away from Spain. And when they turned back to go home, they saw their homes on fire. I'm sure you're aware of that mythology that is taught
indeed.
The Moorish science temple community. Now, from 711 to 1491, until Cristobal Colon or Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, found the New World that already existed, but every time they find some shit, they find it with a gun while telling us to pray on whatever Bible, holy or not, while they say, praise the Lord, the ammunition. But anyway, I digress. That's 7 centuries, correct? So could you correct for me where is Moorish influence and input when the King James, father of Charles, referenced as Charlemagne, because that is the same Charles that you're talking about is Charles the Great, correct? Is that Charles I or Charles II, the grandson of King James I?
It's even before that, right? Right, and well, I think that he's before both of them, right? Charlemagne is before. Okay.
Exactly, but his name is being put upon the son and grandson of King James because of his greatness. Is the point that
yes,
okay.
Sir. Yes,
so
sir.
Now,
yes, sir.
Charlemagne a Moor? Here's the point of what I'm getting at by race. Is Charlemagne a Moor or an indigenous nobility that oppressed the indigenous aborigines? You get correct me on that first before I go forward with the context of what my commentary is.
No, I'm with you, brother.
When we're talking about Charlemagne, in the middle of 700 years, the Moors complained that they created aristocracy, monarchy, the first universities in Europe. We are pretty much versed in what is their supposed history and mythology, correct? In a Moorish science temple of America, right? So what are we saying? If the Moors are saying that they're the nobility, they created the kingdom, they put the individuals on the throne, then James comes along in the 1600s, which is almost 1,000 years later, does not reference himself as a Moor. Please, keep me straight because I'm trying to stay in the timeline here. He calls himself a what?
He calls himself a Roman. Absolutely,
a Roman.
He said a Roman. Yes, sir, he did.
Okay, so I'm again asking for a 1,000-year timeline.
Ooh.
And amongst that 1,000 years, 700 of them are Moorish invasion of North African melanated people throughout Europe, from Spain to where, Sandra? Because I know you love bringing up Genghis Khan, but isn't it from the steppes of Mongolia to this expanse of what we call Eurasia? Not Europe, Eurasia. Correct? I mean, like I said, please keep me straight here because I might be in error. I leave the prospect that I may be wrong. Okay? Because I am repeating what someone else said. That's the reason why I keep saying I may be in error. I ain't trying to put words in other people's mouth, but I'm saying right now, this ain't my words. They ain't coming out of my mouth. I'm repeating what I've been told. You understand what I'm saying, Ron? I qualify everything I say.
Yes,
everything
sir.
I say is what someone else told me. I can neither confirm nor deny because I don't have no independent research, since I know you love to remind us about what receipts are. Okay, so now, in the context of this conversation, when we are talking monarchy and royalty, who the fuck are we talking about? Now, I'll remind you something else that you shared before in another video. In France, some white nationalist Christian identity folk were incensed by so-called indigenous rappers in France and tried to sue them as being anti-French or borderline treason. Okay?
Yeah.
Remember in that? That was the video you shared about, gosh, man, I'm drawing a blank now, but Steely Dan. Remember the Steely Dan video? And about
Yes.
Right. He was coming from French Canada in his perspective, French Canada. Now, this French judge, over 5 years, because the lawsuit was brought up in 2010, the ruling was made in 2015, stated, and I'm paraphrasing now out of that article, that whites were not indigenous to France.
That's true.
And therefore had no standing, had no jurisdiction to lay claim to any of these ethnic minorities or indigenous rappers or cultural oppression that was being put upon them by white supremacy. They had no claim to state their superiority, though they are privileged as so-called Caucasian, white-skinned people. See, this is what we need to try to get clarity on. Then the judge went even further and said they are not of this planet. Now, that still is in the back of my mind in the conversations that we keep having every week.
Right.
Why would this judge, which I would think non-melanated, I'll say it that way, individual, because I doubt very seriously a high-ruling judge in France would not be one of these privileged people we call Caucasians, would you think? And even if it was a so-called melanated judge, it would be just like we have over here, house Negroes.
Right, following the script.
Representation.
Right.
Okay. So now why would a judge make such a sweeping declaration? Based on what, as you like to say, receipt, that white people in France, I'm taking this to close the circle about Charlemagne, French monarch, representation of the Roman Catholic Church, because people don't understand that too. This was the Roman Empire represented by Charlemagne and what we call France today.
Absolutely.
How in 2015 a French judge states that so-called white Caucasians are not indigenous to France. So, again, I am repeating what someone else said, saying.
You said
and where did they originate?
Yeah.
They are not indigenous.
Yeah, that's really the mystery.
Are not indigenous to the planet.
That's messed up that he said that. Right.
Okay, again, I know I'm being roundabout in what I'm saying. I'm trying to make a point. Again, Charlemagne, what's the date you put out again? 742 to 811?
742.
742 to 814.
814. Okay. 711, 1492. We have to get these things side by side, right? Moorish domination for 7 centuries of Europe, correct? In Andalusia or Spain or Madrid or whatever you want to refer to it as, you have those other empires under, what is it, the Almohades? Help me, Sean. Almohades, what is the name?
The
Alfonso, something, whatever, but the ones that were on the throne, well, the Almohades is one, but I think there's Alphonse 1 through 5, I believe, or what it was. The last so-called Moorish emperors before they were rejected. Yeah, wasn't it Alphonse 1 through 5? I think it was at least 5 Alphonses or something like that. But anyway, this is when they're getting ejected in 1492, right? So
Mm.
Who were these people?
The Almoravids.
In 1400s, but follow where I'm going with this. I'm trying to put them both side by side in the same context. We are still talking about melanated people. Aren't you saying that, Rhonda? That's the
that's what I'm consistently saying that.
So then,
yes.
So then, who are the emperors of the Roman Empire? In Rome, not Charlemagne is claiming to represent the Pope in France. You feel me? But who is the Medici? Who are the royalty in Venice, in Rome, in Italy, propping up the Vatican, and who are the popes? Are they melanated? Rhetorical question. But I'm trying to keep all of this in the same context of what you're saying tonight, right? That if this is a melanated world until the 1800s. Isn't that what I'm hearing you say?
Yep.
So the Pope must be melanated. The Roman emperors and monarchy must be melanated. The British, the Spaniards, the Germans, the French, whatever it is that you want to call European monarchy, is melanated until Cristobal Colon or Christopher Columbus was set loose with motherfucking smallpox and blankets on our Aboriginal autochthonous ancestors, correct? Now, that was the first contact, like they say in the Star Trek world. You know about first contact, right? Trekkies. First contact, the motherfuckers came here and our ancestors with smallpox and blankets, right?
Right.
Can you tell me what's the difference to COVID-19?
Same thing.
What's the difference?
Same thing.
So, again, you shared another picture, I think it was last week, I might have even saw that in another recent James Calloway video. Did you see the one about how our history is told about us outside of America? Have you had a chance to look at one of his latest videos that's come out?
He has the latest one out.
You saw that one shot? Did you see that portrait of Christopher Columbus?
Mm-hmm.
The one that he shared in that video.
Melanated.
Say that again?
Christopher Columbus was melanated.
I'm confused. I'm confused,
it don't surprise me.
Please correct. I'm confused, sir. I'm confused, my brother. Please correct me if I'm wrong in my observations here. So again, in the timeline of 1400 to 1800, listening to what Rhonda is proposing tonight, is still no Caucasoid rulership.
It's not.
Okay, then. So what are we talking about when we're talking about the authority, the monarchy, the rulership? Are we talking about indigenous people? Or are we talking about a foreign invaded element that took over from the original inhabitants of Europe throughout Eurasia? And then that's no different for us to try to understand who is the American Indian and who is the Native American.
Exactly.
The Native American is the Caucasoid-Mongoloid hybrid fraud.
Exactly.
The American Indian is who we were labeled by the foreign invaders who were melanated.
Exactly.
That called us Negro and called the African cargo they brought with them Negro. So then who created the word Negro? Is that a Spanish word? Negro.
Yeah.
I think it is. Doesn't it mean black?
Okay.
Yes, it means black.
So where did the origin of that word come? We're going to get into etymology and whatnot. That came from Spain.
Right.
Under melanated people.
Go ahead on. Well.
In America, in Africa. I want to come to a wrong conclusion. I'm trying to stay correct in the context of the conversation. So we have melanated people referring to other melanated people as Negro.
Yep.
Then the European melanated person, which may not be the indigenous, but may be in the hierarchy position of authority, supposedly, what we call monarchy and royalty, is telling the low-class folk, which were, as you pointed out, the Irish, the Scottish, from King James' hometown, home territory, hood, district, because he was the 6th king of Scotland and the 1st king of England, in the early part
correct.
of 1600, right?
That is correct.
And
yes,
what
sir.
did he do with those people?
He shipped their ass out of there. Mm-hmm.
To where?
To the Americas.
Hey, America? Coming to America. King of Zamunda.
Yeah.
Okay. Wakanda forever. Okay. While we sitting here confused as fuck, being told we are what? We're from where?
Africa.
And I understand her, calling you Sandra on your DNA, which actually I don't want to get bogged down to that because it's not even personal. Any DNA examination of us as a people is the record of subjugation. Period.
That's true.
I don't care if people say that you can love. There's love between humans. Removed from the context of oppression, white supremacy. Oh yeah, on an individual basis, yes, there is the prospect of Pocahontas falling in love with John Smith. Well, explain to me how the fuck a 13-year-old falls in love with a 40-year-old motherfucker, and that's not a pedophilia situation. That's not Me Too in 2020.
Exactly.
Okay? Not disputing that some girls, we like to say too, that stuff about fast, girls mature before
hot
boys,
in the pan.
13, 14, and having babies. My grandmother had one at 14. But does that take away the power dynamic of a relationship?
Nope.
Then you put color controversy, bigotry of keeping a certain group of people based on their melanin content at the bottom. No matter where you go over this planet, I don't give a shit who you're talking about. You have of indigenous populations who are elevating light-skinned people with never having had contact with Caucasians. How does that work?
Right.
How does that? Now that's viral. If you want to talk about virus, white supremacy is the motherfucking virus. Okay? It is not based on anything that's biological, scientific, or factual, but it is permeating. This is now 500 years. And like you said, in that arc of time from 1492 to 2020, only halfway in there. So we're talking about barely 250 years.
Yep.
Not even 250. When you say 1800, that's barely 200.
Right. Right.
And we're still convinced today that they are the authority, the author of our existence. God Almighty, literally. White man, blue-eyed, blonde individual hung up on a tree is our ultimate savior. None of which makes any rational sense whatsoever.
None.
So again, if I'm incorrect in my observations of listening to you tonight, who the fuck is Charlemagne? Now, one last thought for your consideration, using him as the focal point. Did I tell you? I think I told you this before. One of the latest scam shows of Henry Lewis, Skip Gates, was telling Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, that he is a direct descendant of Charlemagne.
Oops.
If you didn't see that episode, you go get.
I didn't see it, boo, because he be pissing me off. You know he be pissing me off. What?
I heard about it.
Now you know how he lays out that book, right, Sean? You know how he lays out the book. Okay. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra. What did he tell Michael Strahan? Because that's in your bag.
He was related to King James.
No, King Charles. King Charles.
Thank you.
Although it's King James, but he said King He said King Charles. He said King Charles, but they still relate. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
I know one of you saw that particular episode.
I saw that one.
Okay, so from Charlemagne to Charles the First or the Second, whether the son or the grandson, is 1,000 years, 900 and some change. You said 740,
right?
To 1814. Charles II is all of these motherfucking charters we dealing with Georgia, South Carolina, all the Carolinas are referencing Charlotte, who? Charles's wife, right? Charles and Charlotte. Okay, so Charlestown, Charleston, Charlotte. Okay, now, is this a coincidence or fraud or a manipulation to tell Russell Wilson, to tell Mike Strahan, who are both happen to be big dingo niggas that play in the National Football League, that they are descendants of European royalty, when in your mindset, what do you see? A Caucasoid European? Or this melanated monarchy that we are now revealing? And again,
and let me tell you something. I don't mean to cut you off, but I went back to the Charlemagne picture and pulled up Russell Williams' motherfucking picture. Baby, let me tell you something. Only difference is Charlemagne's nose is straighter, is thinner than Russell Williams. They look exactly the fucking same. So when I upload this to YouTube, that picture will be in there of Charlemagne. This shit is, we can't make this motherfucking shit up.
Okay, so now one other underscoring thing. I'm trying to keep it all together so it's a broad concept. Harriet Tubman is a what?
Stuart Ross.
Harriet Tubman is a what? A Stewart? Sophia Stewart wrote what? The Matrix?
Matrix, Terminator. Yep.
Okay, and we're caught up in what? Where the fuck are we locked up in?
The Matrix.
A mental prison. Okay. Now, Harriet Tubman was not trying to free average Negroes or the indigenous.
No, she was not.
She was trying to free what?
Her family.
European monarchy.
That is correct.
The bloodline.
Yes,
so,
sir.
I'm just making an observation. So what are we saying when we're saying European monarchy? And I know you keep stressing this too about cleaning up the bloodline and whatever. That's why I didn't want to get bogged down into the DNA discussion for now, because our point of reference, you know what they call blue blood, right? Blue blood is in reference to copper outside the skin. Okay, when there's a certain level of copper content, and the normal hemoglobin makes it what looks red. Okay.
Right.
Overabundance of certain copper, and you look at when you see copper oxidize. Okay, it starts looking bluish, greenish tint. Look at the goddamn Statue of Liberty. See that shit every day.
Exactly.
Okay? Now, what are we? I'm being rhetorical in what I'm asking now. But what are we saying when we're elevating a particular bloodline above the indigenous, autochthonous, original
Exactly.
People? Because there's something specifically being done to manipulate. And you know what they said about inbreeding. You know what they did in European monarchy. You know how they had prepared and the same thing goes in the so-called ancient Chinese culture. In ancient India, ancient Pakistan, they still have those type of marriages, correct?
Yep.
And the vast majority of the indigenous population, the aboriginal folks, the people of the land, are kept steeped in abject poverty, are they not?
Yep.
In every culture the world over, the darkest or the most melanated amongst their people are purposely herded like cattle, like property, in abject poverty, while the exclusive elite that interbreed and try to keep their, now this is what's the ironic stuff, supposed to keep their bloodline pure and cause what? Look at the genetic abnormalities that come from the Caucasoid versions of these so-called people, let alone the melanated ones, who then probably became demelanated over time to then interbreed in the pale-skinned versions of themselves. That these same Moors, I'm not circling back to the original 700 years, these Moors had white slaves, and white slavery by definition is white women held in sexual servitude, correct? That they created. Now, whether they created it from their sick patriarchal misogyny, or is it big head scientist Yakub that spun it out of the lab in a test tube? I don't know. Which does it really matter?
Does it really matter? Right.
So I'm imparting, again, asking, did the Moors create these motherfuckers? Or actually create these motherfuckers from alien origin? And i.e.
Right. Indeed, brother 832. Indeed. Thank you for that drop. Peace and love. In the chat room, they pissed because they didn't get to hear the rest of your drop. I told them to dial in that we was finna go in overtime, so they'll have to hear it on the playback. They're like, did 832 get cut off? Because they can still type in the chat. They just can't hear us. And I'm like, yep, he's still on. I told y'all to dial in. You missed the dial in cut off. So anyhow, good to hear your voice, brother. I'm glad you came in and put that drop in.
You know, there was somebody made a hint that maybe the Moors have overemphasized their history. I heard something like that.
Well, I heard that. I'm sorry, go ahead. You go ahead, Brother Sean. Go ahead, brother.
I don't think that they did, simply because of all the artifacts that are found around the world. And you can find mention of them in every nation. The thing is, they were colonizers.
Exactly.
They established empires. They ruled over people. They were...
Exactly.
They were the original Borg. Because every place they went, you had to become a Moor. You had to become a Moorish citizen.
Right.
Just like prior to that, you had to become a Roman citizen.
That's right.
They just kept changing up nationalities as they saw fit.
Yep.
And
that's what they did, because that's what they implied, that the history of them is not as intense as they say, or as expansive as they say. That's the word.
Yeah, it was, because they were, you would say that the Khans, I guess, the Mongols, that was one of their biggest enemies, because a lot of their territories overlapped over in that region over there. They had
that's who was fighting each other.
Yeah, and they had alliances. They set up an alliance here. That's how it was said that the Moors, the Indians, and the Mongols all had white slaves.
Yep.
They was in cahoots together. And the thing is, those Indians, we don't know whether or not they were the black nobility that came over here and, quote unquote, became the 5 civilized tribes.
Yep.
Right.
So that
it's looking like more and more they did.
There could have just been the Moors and the Mongols. But we know for a fact that we also had sellouts here that was owning slaves and sold us out too. So it's a matter of the bloodline.
Yep.
And what your bloodline actually traces
linked
back to.
Yep.
You know, Rhonda, remember I gave you that Camille thing about the Moors and their bloodline? I sent you a video.
Caramel. Yeah, I had already looked at that. You mean the one where he was tracing the biblical line, or?
I think he was doing a little bit of both, because they had made it, according to him, with the fallen demagogues.
Yeah. That's the same video. We on the same page. Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're the Elohim,
Exactly. Yeah, because that ties back to the whole Anunnaki stuff. What you say, sis?
He said it was Goliath. They were the line of Goliath in that video.
Yeah, but when he ties it, what Brother Sean and I are saying, even with that, we know that it ties back to the the Elohim, which all of that ties back to that whole Anunnaki stuff. So that's all Brother Sean is saying. But yeah, Brother Sean, you and I literally just had this conversation. I had to pull up the chat on Monday when you referred me to that video, and I said, so basically it was the Mongoloids, which were melanated, Moors, and Romans fighting each other. So all melanated, going around taking Aboriginal people's stuff, and the Romans won.
And the Moors were the giant killers, according to them.
Yeah, they do say that.
I don't know.
So, I don't see how they could be of Goliath's bloodline. There was Gog and Magog in them. Because we went over all that when we went about the
Giant series. Yeah, in the Giant series. Yep.
I thought the 100 said they were of that bloodline, Luciferian and stuff like that. They're 100s?
I can't. I'm not picturing it.
I could go get them.
That doesn't mean it's not so. I'm just not picturing it.
I think, but people claim a lot of stuff. If they steal your identity, of course they're gonna try to claim that they're of that bloodline.
Well,
exactly.
Considering all the seed mixing that the Moors did,
that's
some of
true.
those pale people, some of those quote unquote pale people actually are of the bloodline. Maybe
they are.
I know the Muslims say that they did that with the Negro monkey, and that's how we got our name Negro. They put it off on us. So that's what the Muslims said, and that Yaqub created the pale people, and they were originally the Negroes, and then they gave it to us, that title.
Oh, I see what you're saying. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Now, I heard that, and then it was also said that at one time that the word nigger referred to anybody that was ignorant.
Yeah.
Color didn't matter, just referred to an ignorant person.
And what I just find interesting, and that's why I do give mad respect to that Caucasian gentleman that went on Kira Mayo's show and, got his little heritage tracing read out and how it went back to the indentured servitude, because his people were sent over as convicts.
Right,
so,
they were.
But my point being is everybody's in denial. Everybody, and when I say everybody, y'all, I'm talking about the 95%. And I'm even going to have to throw in even that 4%, because the 4% want to keep flip-flopping too, identifying with shit. So it's only 1%, and 1% that see the shit for what it is. But on this plane, on mama, majority are in fucking denial. They're in denial. Caucasians are in serious denial, because that's going to fuck up your head when, okay, so we not even really the Europeans. You telling me that the original Europeans are melanated? Yeah, sweet pea, that's not what we telling you. That's what the receipts say. That the original people of Europe were melanated. Receipts say the original people of the Americans were melanated. So if I'm Caucasian, I would have to seriously question, where are my origins from? And the only place that I found, and that was only just based on that map, that ancient Mercator map, where white folks show up in Africa.
Underground.
Right, some underground, but in their defense, some had kingdoms. And they were side by side with the Moors and throughout Africa.
Right.
That's the only place that I see them show up at. So if I'm Caucasian, and if I'm really digging into the truth, and I accept the truth and accept the motherfucking receipts that Europe was melanated, Asia was melanated, Americas was melanated, and even Africa, where the fuck am I from?
You know that flat
So
Earth
that's
thing?
the Caucasian side. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
You know that flat Earth thing, the diagram of it, where they had that the ice shelf of 300 feet, and then they have kingdoms outside of this particular planet thing. And you had a theory once before that they came over here from those kingdoms that are around the main central body of the Americas and Europe, and then they took us down. Remember that study we did a long time ago?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it. So that's on the Caucasian side. Now, melanated people, this what fucks me up about melanated people. All over mama, melanation is found. So how can you identify with these other things outside of what your mama and your grandma and them tied to? So everybody's in fucking denial. Everybody want to latch on to the quote winner, when in essence the winner was your oppressor, is your oppressor. So that's what all we trying to say. And let's just say, by some strange reason, that my motherfucking shit do tie into one of them conquering lines. Now, this is just moi. I am fucking embarrassed. I am fucking disgusted. And I fucking want no part of it. I'm going to state that again. Let's just so happen to say, if my blood is part of any of those conquering kingdoms, taking indigenous folk shit, I am fucking embarrassed. I am fucking disgusted. And I fucking don't want nothing to do with it. Now, far as me and mine, all that fuck shit stops right here, right now with me. These are the conversations that melanated people don't want to motherfucking have. Because we still want to put it on the white man. And I'm only holding the motherfucking white man / Caucasian man accountable for the 250 motherfucking change. I hold them accountable for that. But I will not give a motherfucker a pass for thousands of years of fuckery. Because they were melanated, not the kid, not I. I'm going to say, and I'm going to say again, either you live in truth or you don't. You don't mix the truths with the half-truths or with cognizant dissidence because that's the way you want it to fucking be. It don't work that way. If you're talking about true freedom, freedom of your mind, of your soul consciousness. So I'm going to say again, I'm not interested. This is me personally. I'm not interested if my bloodline ties, and it does not tie, to any of them conquering kingdoms. But let's just say somebody down the line was a motherfucking baby mama some motherfucking type of way. I ain't with none of that.
Mm-mm.
That's what we're talking about, people. The fact of the matter is, it was melanated on melanated crime before there was white supremacy. And if you want to take it back further, it was man against woman. And until people are ready to be real with their soul, they will keep attaching themselves to these energies, to these spells, repeating a fucked up cycle for you and your bloodline. And that's cool, that's okay if that's what you want to experience. We're just here to share the information. But I will not and I cannot brush over what happened to make it look pretty, to quote, quote, make melanated people look good. No, fuck that. It is what it motherfucking is. The truth is the truth. So, all right, I'm done with it. All right, I'm done with that.
Yeah, but that's what it is, though. I mean, it's like if I was the product of rape and I got older, I wouldn't go looking for the rapist's family to try and get to know them. You fucking created a monster. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be around them and connect with that frequency that created that environmental situation that created that. I mean, even if one of the ancestors did it to quote unquote survive, to me it's the same thing as rape. She consented because she wanted to live.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it was to protect children or someone that was already living. And then they reneged on them deals.
Sure did. Sure did.
Whether we talking about melanated or pale skin.
Right.
They learned the whole system of colonization, breaking people, and everything, emulating them, everything. They learned all that from the Moors.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say. They taught them.
Yeah.
So everything they've done, the Moors taught them. So wouldn't that increase your karma? Aren't you responsible for your children?
Absolutely.
And you actually think that a Moorish empire is about to rise again?
Mm-mm.
Child.
I hope not.
Oh,
When
it
it's
ain't.
cleanup.
Mm-mm.
It's cleanup time.
Yep. Even if James was a lowlife, he shouldn't be created again either. Coming over here.
Right. That's the point that I've been trying to make, sis. Exactly. And why? I know both of y'all know. Y'all know that song by Betty Wright, "The Cleanup Woman."
Yeah.
That's what Mama Earth doing. Goddamn it, she's the cleanup woman. I done took and told you, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
She got the last say. She the cleanup woman. So keep on fucking around with your delusions about some empire you finna get back up on. Because not the way I see it, with that motherfucking UV radiation shooting across the sky. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
I mean, they say that book is a book of astronomy and astrology. It's
and genealogy. You know they want to throw genealogy in there too.
It's a book about the body and what your organs and what your system, your self-contained universe actually goes through. Is more opposed as literal people. And to me, it's just like, if somebody told me that they found out that they was related to Jesus and Moses, I'm going to know how you found that out.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like if somebody tell me they related to Shaka Zulu. I wouldn't know how you know. Because I just don't think that they was giving blood tests back then.
No, it's not blood test.
Yeah, that would definitely have to be a word of mouth thingamajig.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. For
now
what
I
reason,
could see these. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Brother Sean. You do your thought.
For what reasons are they putting people in these specific frequencies?
Well.
To tell you that you are.
I think the one test that does that is that ancestry blood test. They tell you who you're related to.
I don't trust that shit. My mom and them told me who I'm related to.
I wouldn't do that one.
As much as they done been in the news about fraud, many times as they done been sued, and they had to tell people
exactly, and they tell you it's for
license.
entertainment purposes. Exactly. Shit, you can send your motherfucking dog's DNA in, and they go break it. And people have literally done that. That's why they was suing they monk ass. Now it's different if it's coming from my family. That's the only one I'm accepting. Family and public record.
They don't have an exact science for that.
They don't.
Right.
It's just that, like, let's say with Charles Barkley and them, they do go back to such lineages. That would explain why they're in the positions.
Exactly. That's the point I was going to make when I was rudely about to interrupt you, brother. That's exactly the fucking point I was going to make. That's exactly the point, because they take care of their own. Exactly.
Whether it's through cloning and, re-downloading the consciousness into another sleeve. They showed you that they're capable of doing all that type of stuff. I mean, it's just, I know when it comes to them, the fact that they're still using that book and we're up under ecclesiastical law, those who are actually of that bloodline, of those bloodlines, they're the ones that are ruling now. These ain't new motherfuckers ruling. It's the same bloodline.
Thank you.
That's who the contract was made with. It was made with those bloodlines. That's why can't nobody get away with trying to make those claims, saying that we this, that, we that. When you claim to be any character out of any of those books, it falls up under the whole patriarchal thing and the whole systemic naming thing, which they've done, the whole labeling thing. Anytime you claim any of those labels, you're saying citizen, subject, slave.
Exactly. Because they know you ain't part of them, because if you was part of them, you wouldn't be putting in no motherfucking claim, because you would already have yours. Yours would already be set aside. They made it clear. Charles made it clear in that motherfucking Georgia charter. You gonna run me my ends and my people's ends forever and ever and forever ever.
Who gets it now? You wonder. Who gets their end now?
Well, it's clear to me who get their ends.
The hidden folks.
I say hidden and in plain sight.
The hidden folks, you're never going to see. They're going to perish.
You'll never see
what they are.
Yeah.
Or they're going to get took off someplace, or they're already being took off someplace, and you're never going to hear about them. Even though they're the meanest of the mean, the nastiest of the nastiest. They still got certain contracts and everything in place, certain agreements.
That's right.
Certain shit that you ain't going to do, because you have to remember, they only going to be put away for 1,000 years. So, ain't no need of nobody rejoicing forever because they're about to go down. You're never going to see the true face of the beast.
Mm-mm.
Or the game would be over.
Exactly.
The game's never over. It's going to keep resetting as long as you agree to reset the game.
Exactly. Long as you agree to reset the game. Long as you agree.
But the rules of the game stipulate he's only to be put away for 1,000 years.
Yep. And when we get to that next series and we get on them frequencies and reset, I'm like, oh, this shit is just, it's beyond ridiculous at this point. It's beyond. So I'm like, yeah, okay then. But yeah, sis, and to me, now this is just me, like Brother Sean said, he gave the answer that those, and I'm going back to watch that Gates episode on Wilson. But when Brother Sean, you saw that picture. You saw that picture I put up of Charlemagne, the God, and pull up Russell Wilson's picture. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know what Russell Wilson looks like. I know who he is.
Yeah, I had to pull it up. I'm like, wait a minute. So, yeah, I'm in agreement. Those athletes and entertainers and melanated people with the money or whatever, they tie back to those bloodlines. Because that's the second one. Strahan was the first. That said Charles. He tied to Charles. Now we seeing Wilson tied to Charlemagne. So those are the ones in plain sight right there.
They told Freeman they didn't, and they told what's her name? Big Will what's it? Tina Turner. She wasn't either. They told her she wasn't even.
Well, and Tina Turner looked at him like she wanted to slap the shit out of him, because she knew who she was. Yeah, that's why she was looking at him like, nigga, I know you lying. She literally looked like she wanted to slap the shit out of him. She was always consistent on who she is. But Morgan Freeman, what is Morgan's last name?
Freeman.
What's his last name?
Freeman.
Okay. Who were the free men?
The ones they brought over.
Okay. I'm just motherfucking saying. I'm just motherfucking saying. It's there. It's there. Now, some of them will be mixed with indigenous, but you better believe if they high up, they got some ties. They got some ties to that bloodline. Brother Sean, real quick, we got 4 motherfucking minutes. I don't even know how I ran across this. Oh, I know how I ran across it. Because I was looking at the capital, the state capital in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it. I said, wait a minute. What the fuck happened to the dome on top of that motherfucker? It's like either they took the dome off, so I started researching that. Never did come up with that. Then I find out that Chillicothe was the original capital.
Yep.
And so Chillicothe, the county, is in what county? Ross.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure is.
Ross Stewart, we're not making this fucking shit up. The receipts tie back.
And it was mountains.
It ties back, it's there. And it was absolutely. Then I saw the mounds. I'm like, oh my goodness. And when we get to the next series, we're going to talk about those circles that you find, them ancient circles and all that. We finna go in on the next motherfucking series. This shit is deep.
Explains why they got the prisons there now. The Chillicothe got the prison there.
Yeah, isn't the Chillicothe still mainly a bunch of melanated people there, or am I off base with that?
A bunch of melanated people there because of the prison.
Oh, okay. I just know a lot of people that came up to Columbus. Melanated people were from that area, so I just assumed.
Oh yeah, but it's over there. But that's what the prison is, the Chillicothe prison.
Yeah, because I saw that. But I was basically looking at the ancient buildings there. I saw the mounds, and to this day they still have like a Ross Historical Society, and I'm sitting there with my motherfucking mouth hung open.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there. This shit goes back pretty far.
They tell a lot
of sorry, go ahead, Brother Sean.
Like when you enter into a state and they had those, the state tourist board, when you first enter in the state. Yeah, they have a lot of information in those places that you just don't find in mainstream. They actually be telling the truth about
exactly, because when you know what you know, you can piece that shit together.
Mm-hmm.
So so remember when we was on the motherfucking Giant series, and dude that was over there looking at the ancient ruins, didn't he account for the Romans building over the Greek stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is the Romans, all they do is they keep building over the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Reset, 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 reset. Changing the name, changing the not the logos. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Seals. Changing the names, changing the seals. Over and over. Reset, reset, over and over. So this shit is deep. This is about your soul consciousness. So, all right, we only got a couple seconds, really 18 seconds. We're going to be back next week. At least we got through the Saxon stuff. We going to come back next week again to dig back into the invention of the white race. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, 832. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Sis and Brother Sean.